Hello, everybody. This is here. Hello, everybody. Okay, so we can do quick now. Okay, wait, let's. Okay, so how we are going? Can we go live right now? Hello, everybody. This is Suguwa, and sorry, I have to slow down a little bit my talking let's just say I don't want to interrupt anyone in the inside. How do I say? Somewhere where I'm living right now. So I think without wasting too much time, let's go. Yeah. Okay. Okay. This is fine. Okay. So I think let's go. Okay. So right now we are switching to the stream itself. Let's go. Okay. So
Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan.
okay. So right now for this stream we are going to witness
for upcoming events. Dragon is currently doing a couple of things autonomously. First, it's isolating the thermal control system fluid loops from the radiator. This system is what will help keep the internal temperature of Dragon very comfortable for Nick, Suni, Butch, and Alexander during the re-entry phase. Dragon is also initiating separation of the claw mechanism, which will terminate data, power, and fluid connections between the spacecraft and the trunk
the astronaut
in preparation for
feel
that trunk separation
very comfortable
that I mentioned earlier. Now,
on
as we
and
saw
whatsoever.
before,
So this is
we
the reason
are
why
hoping to get more views
they
inside of the
did
Dragon
this in
capsule.
the first
We will
place.
bring those, of course. We want to see more of our four crew members. But now a bit more of the Dragon Freedom capsule. It has flown on several missions for NASA. It first launched April 27th, 2022
I guess this is still good.
to the International Space Station on NASA's SpaceX Crew-9 mission. It was subsequently used for two private spaceflight missions to the space station
in these
for
phases
Axiom
we are
Space,
also going to see
Axiom
that,
Mission 2 in
that
May
the capsule
2023
will also
and Axiom Mission 3 in January of
re-enter any seconds
2024.
from now.
And of course,
And
Crew-9 launched
after the
last
re-entry,
year
we'll
is
also
September 28th.
going to see that
So
touchdown
a little
or
bit
landing
about the Dragon Freedom capsule
around
here,
the sea,
a view that we have
around
once
the
again
area of
between
Gulf Mexico,
the
or
shoulders
maybe
of
some
Commander
of you
Nick
when
Hague,
going
who
to
is
call
on
it
the
Gulf
left-hand
of
side
America,
of your
whatever is
screen
it.
there, and
But
Mission
by the
Specialist
way,
Aleksandr Gorbunov
let's
there
just say
on
we are
the
referring
right.
the same places.
That's right, Kate.
So
And the next major milestone that we're looking ahead
that's
towards
one
this
thing we can
afternoon is claw separation. We're targeting that claw separation at
So yeah,
2:05
let's see.
p.m. Pacific time this afternoon, so less than 10 minutes from now. Continuing to get some views inside Dragon Freedom. To the far left there is NASA astronaut Butch Wilmore, and as you can see, the crew is suited up in their space suits. They are suited up in what we call dynamic phases of flight. So when they launch, when they dock, when they undock, when they return back for splashdown. We might hear some call outs on the loops about putting their visors down. That will happen just prior to deorbit burn. And you'll hear us pause when some of those communications happen. That's because we want to make sure that we are relaying the best information to you all, and so that you hear it as well. So if you do hear us pause,
Usually, one
that
of
is
the
what we're
reasons
doing.
why
You also see they have their
they will be
on there.
advised
I know
to
the gloves are pretty unique on the
put down
Dragon spacesuits, right? They're
their
custom
visor down.
created.
It's also because
The
let's just say
spacesuit
because they are
overall
using
is custom
because
fit
they are
for each
using
astronaut.
those spacesuits
These
designed to
gloves
pressurize
enable
whatever
usage
inside
of the
their body, right?
touchscreen
So
panels that they have
so
in
if they
front of
reactor,
them.
if
We
anything's
can't see
happened,
it
at
from
least
this
they
view, but
at
the
least they
view we
will be
saw
surviving
earlier
with the suit.
between
So that's the reason why.
Alexander Gorbunov and Nick Hague,
That's one thing
that
for
is a
sure.
touchscreen. It allows the crew to monitor everything that Dragon is doing, along with those tablets that they have there on their legs. So yeah, the spacesuit itself is intended to act as a mini spaceship,
And
if you will, as once
to any new viewers
visors are
right now,
closed, it is
welcome,
able to
welcome. Hello,
maintain
hello
a
everybody.
pressure in the
It's
unlikely
pretty
event of a
early in the morning, so
depressurization event
I have to
for Dragon.
start a
So
little
there we
bit
can see those screens I was
with
talking about. So
with
there
my
in the
talking
center,
right now. So,
we've got the
so yeah, that's the
location
reason why.
tracker,
But
as well as on the
for the
left-hand
rest
side,
of
it's
the
mapping
video,
out the
if you have already
operations
seen
that
before,
Dragon is
it's good,
executing.
it's fine.
The crew has to
Okay.
remain well informed of all these things that Dragon is doing autonomously. That basically means that Dragon is flying itself.
Yeah.
The crew has the ability to gain control of the capsule if necessary, but the capsule is essentially going to bring itself home. But of course, in order to be familiar with
Freedom, SpaceX. Deorbit
Okay.
will start in 5 minutes.
Okay. So they are going to be the orbit, and reentry should be start around 5 minutes from now.
So we did hear that
Which,
call out for the
yeah.
deorbit sequence start to begin here in 5 minutes. That call from the ground came from the core, or Crew Operations Resource Engineer here in Hawthorne, Mission Control just behind us, and that went up to Commander Nick Hague. He's going to be doing the majority of the communications during the flight downhill today through splashdown, and they'll be communicating with the core all along the way. Now, we did mention that they are flying on Crew Dragon Freedom. The naming of spacecraft has gone all the way back to the very beginning of this human spaceflight program. This is a nod to Alan Shepard naming his spacecraft Freedom 7 during the Mercury program.
Yeah,
so the crew
so
that
that's
first
the
flew
history.
up on Freedom a few years ago had the opportunity to name this Dragon, and they named it Freedom. That was Crew 4 that was the first flyers on this spacecraft. It's also flown for Axiom Mission 2 and 3, and then, of course, today for Crew-9 as well.
Yeah, actually, fun fact about this particular capsule, of those 4 missions that Sandra just mentioned, we have seen daytime splashdowns for 2 of those. Today will mark the third of the third daytime splashdown. So there's something lucky about this particular capsule that gets daytime splashdowns. Nighttime is great because we can see even more clearly the capsule streaking through, but I personally love the daylight views because we really get even better views of the recovery team operations during that phase of the mission.
Yes, absolutely. And if you follow along with our missions, you'll know that sometimes weather is a watch item when it comes to undocking and splashdown. We do splash down in the water, so we want to ensure that parameters like wave heights and wind speeds and precipitation, lightning, all of that is looking good for the crew and the safety of those recovery personnel. And today the weather is just pristine. We got off of space station on the very first attempt. So I'm joking around and saying that it was because it was St. Patrick's Day. We got really lucky with the weather.
But you guys can
disagree with that.
Hear this, right? So that's the reason why.
We will be hearing from core probably,
and also, if I remember correctly, this is also going to be the last.
Typically, before we enter the period
the last places there.
We'll hear an entry briefing from
the last
the crew
trajectory, if I
operations
remember
resource
correctly,
engineer,
where they are
they will
going to
deliver
re-enter
important
and what's on
like
through this area. So next flight, they would re-enter and around the Pacific Ocean area, because if you know, remember correctly about this Crew Dragon ground, especially those debris after the re-entry, that's the reason why they have to default it back to the Pacific Ocean. Although using this area that I've already mentioned also can
room.
have
On your
some
screen,
advantages.
that
Number one,
is
they
SpaceX
can be
Mission
recovered
Control in Hawthorne,
quickly. Usually,
California.
it means they
That
can
room
be
is located
transferred
just
also
over our
pretty
shoulders,
quickly from,
and that
let's
is
say, from
where Dragon
around the
operators
area.
are
They
standing
can
by on
transfer
console,
directly
monitoring the
directly
progress of
to
Dragon
Kennedy
as it
Space Center
continues
as opposed
its
to
way
use
home. It's
Pacific
been
Ocean. If they try to
at
use
the point
Pacific
of
Ocean,
splashdown.
it's
It'll
going
be about
to be
17
another
hours since
multiple
Dragon
moves there
undocked from the
steps.
International
So
Space Station. The team
so
there in
initially that's the reason why
Mission
they choose
Mission
around the
Control, there are multiple teams, in
Gulf of
fact, and they
Mexico,
cycle
maybe
through
Gulf of
shifts
America,
to
which
ensure that
ones
everybody gets
depending of
the
it
required rest and sleep
area. So
periods,
that's
just
the
like
reason why.
the
So
astronauts on board. That crew operations and resource engineer is seated there in the room, and that, like Sandra said, is the primary
and
voice that
I
we will be
think
hearing
maybe from now
communicate
on
from the
the
SpaceX team to the
re-entry
crew
should
on board.
have already started.
That's right. And so it
We're
looks
going
like we're
to
about
see.
3 minutes or so from the claw separation
Mhm.
portion of today's flight. The claw is a portion on the spacecraft that holds the trunk to Dragon. Following claw separation, we're going to jettison or remove that trunk because it's no longer needed. The trunk has solar arrays on it that provides power to the Dragon spacecraft. But now that we're beginning the reentry process, we need to
I
go ahead
see.
and jettison that
So
trunk and
to
able
any
to
new
expose the heat
viewers,
shield, which is really
welcome.
going to do the heavy
So
lifting as Crew-9 re-enters
yeah.
the Earth's atmosphere. They come in at
So let
17,500 miles per hour. So
so
they really
speaking
need to
about
ensure that
those
that heat
trunk,
shield absorbs that heat.
if you
And
remember
there's
that
Deorbit sequence start.
okay. So it looks like the orbit sequence has already initiated. Okay. So let me find those what does it mean
And so we did just get communications there that the
about the
deorbit
Crew
sequence
Dragon
start has
trunk, right?
begun.
So
So
here
here
we
in
go.
just a couple minutes from now, we expect to hear information or a call back about the claw separation having
Here we
begun.
go.
And again,
Give me
that kicks off that
sometimes.
trunk separation portion
Yeah,
that
in
I was
case you want to
discussing
know,
to remove
is
that,
it
expose the
is
heat shield,
something?
and then eventually we'll have the deorbit burn. And we'll continue to walk you through all of these
Okay.
milestones as we approach them ahead of our splashdown at 2:57 p.m. Pacific time this afternoon.
Yeah.
Off the
In
coast
case you
of
want to know,
Tallahassee, Florida.
it's something
Yeah, we're very
related to
excited to
this.
bring the Crew-9
Yeah, you can
crew
see.
home. Sandra, we were talking about the trunk separation. That trunk is on a
Yeah,
trajectory
something
that will re-enter in the
resemble to this
atmosphere
one.
and break up upon that re-entry. The heat shield itself
Okay,
is one of
so
my favorite parts of the Dragon capsule.
those Crew
It
Dragon
is
trunk that
the
it actually
workhorse
mentioned
of
is
the re-entry
something
phase.
more
It will
like,
work to
let me see,
protect the Dragon capsule and the crew members
something more
on
like
board
this
during the
as you,
reentry phase as the temperatures
okay,
outside
something
of the
more like
capsule
this. If you
build
can
up
see,
to, I believe,
at the
about
side of
3,000
it,
degrees Fahrenheit in excess
this is
of.
the crew.
And meanwhile, the
This
interior
is
of
a Crew
Dragon stays
Dragon
a
trunk,
very
the
comfortable temperature. That
behind
heat
of
shield
it,
does a lot of the work, and we'll see that plasma build up on the
and
exterior of the capsule.
this is how
As a
it looks
result
like.
of
It
the
does
plasma
have
that builds up, we
something
will
else
lose
it can be
communications
used
with
for
the crew. This is known as
the
loss of
cargo
signal,
space,
or
whatever is
LOS.
it.
This
Sometimes
is
the
roughly
extra
a
propellant
10-minute
tank inside
period
there. There's
on
also, if you
average,
remember, also the
even less than, I
solar
believe
panel that
today.
will continuously
It
power it
is probably about 6 or
as long
7
as it's
minutes
still
long.
attached to it.
It kind of
But
depends
usually
on the
it's
mission,
more like cut
and it
on this
happens for
half, and then the solar
every
panel
Dragon
also,
capsule that re-enters
and
the
that's
atmosphere.
basically the
Due to that plasma buildup, we're not
how
able
it
to
actually made
communicate or
so
command
far.
the capsule, so we stand by while we
So
wait to
that's how
regain
it works.
communication after we pass through that period of loss of signal and get what's known as AOS, or acquisition of signal.
Continuing to stand by for claw separation, and then we'll look towards
Yeah.
trunk
So
separation.
it should have
It'll be
been like
just
that.
about a minute or so after that. It
Yeah,
happens pretty rapidly
after the
in
trunk
succession.
separation,
Some of
which
our
I've already
milestones will take a
mentioned,
little bit longer throughout the day.
it's
For
like this
example, we will have a
at the
deorbit burn after that.
right side
It'll
of
take
it.
about 7.5 minutes and helps
Okay.
get Dragon
After
set up
these
in the
kind
right
of trunk
trajectory to
separation,
splash down in the Gulf off the coast of
jettisoning
Florida.
out from this
So
one.
continuing to stand by for claw separation.
Yeah, from this one. Then we are going to see a full proper reentry there too. And you need to remember, it's also go as long that there is basically a very high velocity hypersonic reentry of
Capsule
the
jettison.
yeah of the the spacecraft itself,
Right.
we're going to
Great
see
news
the
there. The trunk
LOS,
has been
loss of
jettisoned
signal,
from the Dragon capsule.
and
So
so
the
we are going,
cloth was separated. That's the
so we are
mechanism
going to
that
see,
connects the
yeah,
telemetry and power
and
between
basically the
the Dragon
flow right
capsule
now
and
has
the
already
trunk.
separated
In order to expose
from
the
the
heat shield
spacecraft,
underneath Dragon,
which means
we had
basically a
to jettison
physical
that
connector
trunk, and so we just got
trunk,
confirmation that
between this
that
trunk and
has
also the
happened. So that is
capsule
great
itself. So
news.
so we're
Basically
going to
means that
see
telemetry is
anytime
looking
soon we're
good
going to see
and
LOS as
that the
it
nitro
re-enters
system
back to
is
Earth.
primed for
That's one
cabin
thing
and
for sure.
supercooling, and the heat
And
shield,
also
like I said, is now exposed
for
and
any
ready
new
for
viewers here,
atmospheric reentry.
welcome,
The trunk
welcome.
served its purpose by gathering energy
Welcome.
from the
Just
sun
enjoy
through its
enjoy the
solar
streaming.
cells and converting that to battery power. Since
Okay.
we separated the trunk, we can't generate any more new power, but
Yeah.
we really don't need to since we're coming home and Dragon has enough battery power already stored.
Yeah, that's
Now,
one thing
next,
for sure.
the final steps that Dragon will
They
perform
no
prior
longer
to
need those
reentry:
trunk
the slew or the maneuver to
connected
deorbit burn attitude, and then
uh,
the deorbit burn itself.
to the
This deorbit burn is the
to
last
the
time
spacecraft
that the
itself. It
forward
doesn't
Dracos,
need
which
those
are the
power
four
anymore.
thrusters
They're going
located
back
on
home,
top
right?
of the
So
spacecraft
right now
under the
it's
nose
going to
cone,
be like the
as the
power,
last time that they will
and
ignite. The
as
deorbit
they are
burn will place
going
Dragon on a precise
to the layer
trajectory
of
to
clouds
return
and
to the
whatnot,
splashdown
the
zone
atmosphere
off the
stuff.
coast of
Eventually,
Florida,
they're going to
off the
the
coast of
spacecraft
Tallahassee,
itself
Florida,
will
and it'll last
automatically
about 7.5
deploy
minutes
those
once it
parachute.
starts.
Yeah, if I remember, there is
And so the
several
deorbit
layers of
burn is
you.
targeted
If I
for
remember,
2:11
one of it
p.m. Central
is
Time, so
basically a
about 2
drop
minutes
shoot.
from now.
Drop shoot
As we
will
mentioned, it's going to last
slow
about seven and a
slow
half
the
minutes again,
spacecraft down
helping to get Dragon
down
into
to
the
a point.
precise trajectory
I remember it
to
should be
ensure
around
that
subsonic
splashdown occurs
speed,
in the area that was
where finally
calculated and
when
where
it's
the
already safe
recovery
enough,
team
they
is
will
already in
deploy
place,
those
ready to support
main
splashdown
shoot, those
operations
big shoot.
today. The
Those
recovery
launch
vessel Megan
uh,
is
drop shoot is
the
basically a
ship that is
small,
going to be utilized today,
how do
and
I
we
say?
also have what is called
Basically,
fast boats that go out first to
basically
check the spacecraft and make sure everything is
a
looking
smaller
good before
parachute
the
version of
recovery
the
vessel
bigger
Megan
one. So
approaches. So
here
that whole recovery
I can
process
try
takes about an hour,
show.
I would say, from the time the crew splashes down to the time they're on the boat and the
Give
crew
me
gets
some
out of the
time here.
capsule. And we'll continue to bring you live coverage through every step of the way
Okay.
today as Crew-9 returns home.
Yeah, and also drop
Indeed.
shoot
Now
basically
let's
also another
take
way to
a little
say
bit of a closer
also
look
main
at Dragon.
shoot.
One of the great things about being close
Also
to the
another
space
way to say
station is that
drag
we can use
shoot.
space station cameras to look at
Okay,
Dragon.
so
But
give me
now that Dragon is
times
on its way home, we don't
could be
have those
something
external
similar
cameras.
to
So here's an
this.
animation of what the capsule looks like. We've got the
Okay,
pressurized section, the capsule on the
okay.
top, and
Hopefully it
the
doesn't
trunk
take
or the
too long.
unpressurized
I think
section on the
I can try
bottom.
shows.
That's where those solar
Yeah,
panels that we
something
manufacture
small like
in-house are
this,
located, soaking up the energy
because
from the sun and turning it into power for the
dog shoot,
capsule.
it's
At the very
something
top
similar
of the
to this
capsule
one.
is the
It's very
nose
small,
cone. That is
and
where
then
the
after some
Dracos,
points,
the
it's
forward
already
Dracos are located.
safe
That
enough
nose cone is
to
currently
deploy
open,
those
not closed like we
big
saw
shoot.
in that
You will see
animation.
something
Once
more
we
like
get
this.
through
Some of it
the
still would be
final
attached,
maneuverings
but some
for
of it can also
the re-entry phase, we will close
detach
the
itself
nose cone
depending on
capsule just
how
before
the
Dragon
missions
begins its
looks like.
atmospheric entry
But
to
we are going to see.
protect that forward hatch there located along with those forward Dracos. So go ahead.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was going to mention that the nose cone does open shortly after launch, and it remains open the entire time that Dragon is docked to the International Space Station. So as an example for this particular spacecraft, Freedom, since September when it docked to the International Space Station, remains open that entire time, and here shortly it will close for the very first time since September.
So quick recap of what Dragon has done in recent history here. We basically began preparations for re-entry known as the deorbit sequence. So Dragon released the trunk. As we said before, we separated the claw, we released the trunk. It next will slew to the deorbit burn attitude. Slew basically meaning maneuver, so it will position itself correctly to execute that deorbit burn. We want the heat shield side to be facing forward or first, if you will. We want that to be the leading edge of the Dragon capsule, as the heat shield is meant to basically be an ablative material for the heat that it will incur.
Give it a try.
Once we complete that deorbit burn, attitude slew, we will initiate the deorbit burn itself. That will last for several minutes.
Okay,
Expecting
what
that
does
to
they
be
mean about
to
this?
start here any moment now, actually, and
So
then it will go
those
until
heat
about
shield.
2:18 p.m. Pacific time, or
Okay, let me
5:18
see.
p.m.
Maybe there
Eastern
is
time.
an example
And I
that
did
I
hear
can show.
confirmation that that deorbit
I
burn
can
is
show to you guys.
underway. As we mentioned, it's about a 7.5-minute burn. So within the last 10 minutes, Dragon has jettisoned its trunk and initiated the deorbit burn just seconds ago. As mentioned earlier, for those
I think could
operations,
be
NASA and
something like
SpaceX
this
closely
actually
coordinate with the
fun.
United States Coast Guard to establish a safety zone to
Okay,
ensure
it
public
will be something
safety and
similar
for the
like this, right?
safety of those
Uh,
involved in the recovery
yeah,
operations,
it will be
as well
something
as the
similar like
crew
this.
on
The
board the
first thing
returning
they really
spacecraft.
want it to
Multiple
point out is
notices are
the
issued to
heat
the
shield.
mariners in advance of
Because why?
and during
Because those
recovery
heat shield,
operations, and Coast Guard patrol
this one
boats are deployed
will
to
take the
discourage
most of
boaters
the
from
brunt.
entering
Essentially,
the
when
splashdown
you enter
zones.
back to
So we do
Earth,
want to stress to the
and you
public
need
the
to
need to
remember
respect this
because
safety zone.
it's basically
Recovering
an
a spacecraft
hypersonic
from the
speed
water is a
around, if I
hazardous
remember,
operation, and any other boats interfering
already more than
increases the
Mach
risk
4,
to not only
four
the
times the speed
astronauts
of
in
sound.
Dragon, but the teams
This one
trying
will
to recover them
take a
from the
lot of
water
that,
and the safety of
a
those
lot
that
of
may come too
not only
close.
that
So for the
shield, but
safety of the
also it's
crew, which
going
you
to
see
be
there
like
on
a
your screen,
sacrifice
your
material
safety, we
against
recommend you sit back and
those
watch as we'll continue
ever
to bring you the
increasing
best possible
temperature. If
views
I
of our
remember, it's
astronauts'
also
homecoming.
should
Yeah,
be around the
as I
temperature
mentioned
where
earlier,
almost
this
equivalent
deorbit
to
burn
around
is the
the
last
surface of
time that
sun
we will
when it
utilize
enters
our
back to Earth.
four
And
forward
because
Drano thrusters,
those friction and those
forward
heat also
basically
means
meaning
that
at the top
this
of the
one
Dragon
must be
capsule.
prioritized. This one,
Dragon
if I
Freedom has
remember,
not
is
yet entered the
mostly
Earth's atmosphere. This deorbit
composed of
burn is what will line the
carbon,
vehicle up and put it on its final
carbon. If I
trajectory
remember,
to the
there's
landing
also
site
some
right off the
kind
coast
of
of Tallahassee, Florida.
silica,
So basically,
silica,
it is
how do I
the
say it?
last
Those
burn
silica
that
material
the
also
Dragon
will
spacecraft executes
also
and
part
is
of
what really
the
locks it in for that precise
part of the
landing.
heat shield
As you can see
material
on
here.
your
So hence
screen right now,
that's why
Nick,
you see
Sunny,
why
Butch,
it's
and
mostly
Alexander
black
are
color
using
here
their screens
because
to
it's
keep
also
tabs on the
mostly a
burn duration,
carbon
Draco
based
firings, and trajectory
heat shield
details
here
such as entry angle,
to handle
spacecraft
those
perigee,
such
and
a very
how much distance
high
remains
velocity
until deorbit burn
entry back to
termination.
Earth. So that's the
As I
reason why.
mentioned earlier,
And also
Dragon
to
is
those
flying
new viewer,
itself. So all the crew has to
thank you,
do
and hello
is stay strapped
everyone
into
there.
their seats
So
and keep tabs on
keep
things. Although I
watching
must
this
say, if I had
stream.
one of those window seats,
We are
it would be
we
pretty
are still
difficult
yet
to
from
restrain myself.
properly
Now,
re-enter,
with
and
Nick,
then
Sunny, Butch, and Alexander ready to deorbit
after
and
this
splashdown back
touchdown and
on
landing,
Earth, they will be heading
we are
to
going
one
to
of
tune
8
in
targeted sites supported by
a little
SpaceX
bit
and NASA. All of these sites
until
are
there's
located off the
basically
coast of Florida,
no
either in the
more
Gulf of
no
America
more
or
major
the
activity that
Atlantic Ocean. Spreading the supported
I
sites
can
across
basically
multiple locations helps maximize the
yeah,
return
let's just say
opportunities for this mission
report
and
anymore
future crews,
yeah,
lowering the chance that we'll have
I
to
think
wave off
I
due
do
to
need
bad weather.
I do need some
For those
sleep
of you
again.
following along, you'll know that today's
Yeah,
splashdown marks
but
our final
no
Dragon
worries.
recovery
I'll
on
still
the
will be
East
reporting
Coast.
by
After
then.
6 great years of successful recovery operations off
Okay,
the East Coast, we'll
I'm
be
hopefully
moving
still
all
fine.
Dragon recovery operations back to the West Coast.
And as always, NASA and SpaceX jointly select our splashdown location. And for today, the prime recovery site is off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida. The selection process works with a lot of different variables, including the space station's orbital trajectory or path that it follows, what landing sites are available and have favorable weather, how much free flight capability Dragon has for the
Okay,
trip home,
so
and the
here
sleep
also I'll
schedules
try
for the returning
explain
crew
about
members, as well as, of course, the big one, the
re-entry
weather.
sequence system. So
We'll
let me
start
see.
with calculating
Yeah,
daily return
the
options
re-entry
based
path.
off of the space station's current orbit and Dragon's capabilities to maneuver and line up for reentry.
Maybe
The time from undock to landing at the primary site can vary from less than 6 hours to more than 39. Getting home the quickest comes with some obvious benefits, but we always have to make sure the crew is properly rested for dynamic operations, preventing us from scheduling 20-plus hour days for them, of course.
oh
Trajectory and
yeah.
ballistic experts provide the daily opportunities that would line up Dragon with the
Okay,
7
so
landing zones and split them into what we call ascending and descending opportunities.
Dragon uses its Draco thrusters after leaving station to execute a series of altitude-lowering maneuvers and to line up with the selected primary site. It can also change to different alternative sites while in a free flight if sudden weather moves in that we may need to avoid. So, as
Yeah,
we
I
mentioned,
think
weather is something we're constantly
something
looking
that's
at, making the final call to proceed about 2.5 hours
okay.
before the
So
crew
there
undocks.
is two
So,
that
for the Crew-9
I
return, we
might be
looked at a
able to
number of
show
weather items.
how
Some of the obvious ones
it
are no
actually looks
rain
like.
or a chance of lightning in the recovery zone, both for the safety of the crew inside Dragon and the recovery teams in the water. And we're also looking for wind speeds to be less than 15 feet per second or about 10 miles per hour, and relatively calm seas so that we can safely execute recovery operations, which includes landing a helicopter on the
Okay,
recovery ship
so
to fly Nick, Suni,
if you
Butch,
can see
and
here,
Alexander
this
back
is
to
basically
Florida.
how it looks like
Once Dragon
when it
began
renders
flying
back
today, we have a number of
to the Earth,
additional
right?
checkpoints to
It's
either
pretty hot.
proceed towards the primary site, head to the alternate,
And
or select a
also,
new zone
this is
based on
how
real-time weather
this
data.
is usually how the
These
Crew
checkpoints
Dragon
happened all the way
will
up until
render.
we were
If
in
you,
the
as you
final
can see,
hours
those
before the
velocity,
deorbit
those
burn,
speed.
which has just about a minute or so left in it. And
This
this
is
is
the
the last burn of the
this is
trip
the
home that
altitude,
commits Dragon to
or also
re-entering the
kilometers.
Earth's
I will
atmosphere.
try to show it to you
Now,
guys.
we are currently
Yeah,
waiting to
yeah, it's
conclude
something like
the
this.
deorbit burn. We've got less than a
Altitude,
minute until
uh,
that finishes.
kilometers, as you can
We
see the
will
left
expect
side.
to
This is
hear
how
a
it looks
call out
like
for
when it
nominal
enters,
burn, which
and the
will
downrange
confirm
basically.
completion of that deorbit burn for Dragon Freedom.
Basically the distance it covers there. It's
We can
it's pretty
see
far away,
images there
because they need
from
to
the
bleed
check
those
screen
energy to
display
ensure
panels that the crew
it's safe,
utilizes in
of course,
flight. We can
and also
see
to ensure that
visualization of
that
exactly
it can
which
land
one of the four
safely. So
forward
to be
Draco thrusters are
around the
firing. That's
downrange,
why
to be
you have
around
kind of like a
maybe
strobe effect
50,
there.
40 kilometers from the landing site.
And if you're
It,
just
it should have
joining
already
us,
it should
you
have
are looking
already
at live views
slowed down
of the
to the
Dragon
point that
Freedom. On your
that
left
right
is
that
commander
at
of
that point
Crew-9,
it
Nick
might be
Hague.
safe to
To his right
deploy
is
drop shoot,
Roscosmos
and after
cosmonaut
the drop shoot
Alexander
they're going to deploy
Gorbunov.
those
And on
mine shoot that
also
can be
in
used to
Gorbunov,
probably
excuse me,
slow
that
it
is
down to the
Alexander
point
Gorbunov. And then
it can be
also in
considered
the
as
capsule
the
today
soft
is
touchdown.
NASA
If I
astronaut
remember,
Sunny
soft
Williams,
touchdown
Butch
is
Wilmore.
around
We
the
are awaiting
velocity
confirmation that their deorbit burn is
5
complete, which
meters
is
per
the last burn that's going to
5
help set
meters
them
per
up on a
second
trajectory
and
to
lower.
splash down
Should be
off the
around
coast of Florida.
Deorbit
25
burn complete.
kilometers
Performance
per hour.
nominal. Nose cone
Okay,
closure initiated.
now re-entry burn has already complete, so maybe they've already around middle of the
All right,
journey.
excellent news there.
So
We heard the words we were looking
so
for,
that's basically
nominal
how
burn. So
it
that
works.
means
And
that that
also
deorbit burn
the
was
graph,
successful
well,
and nominal,
maybe
meaning
something
as
to do
expected.
properly and
And we're
whatnot.
now
You
beginning
can
to
see
close the
this
nose
is how it
cone
looks like
in preparation
at
for
the kilometers
atmospheric
altitude.
reentry.
This is similar to how the graph
So in
looks
the
like at
background,
the
Dragon is currently inhibiting those
red line.
forward bulkhead
As
Draco
you can
thrusters that we just
see
used
here,
to
the
complete
red
the
line,
deorbit
it
burn,
shows
ensuring
how
it's safe to latch the nose cone shut for re-entry. Also,
that
the
one is
vehicle has
basically
initiated the
how the
nitrox
crew
suit purge, which will
re-enters.
help keep Nick, Sunny,
I
Butch,
mean, you
and
don't have to
Alexander cool and
understand
comfortable during
everything
re-entry,
else
which is
of what
coming up in
it
about
says there,
20
though.
minutes
But
from
you can
now.
see it's
At this
pretty
point, the
hot.
nose cone is closing and
That's
protecting the
why.
forward hatch for
In
re-entry,
terms of
and the
max
crew
heating,
are
it says
using their
here it's
screens to
around
continue to monitor the locking of
51
the nose
watts
cone,
per
which is done by 7 hooks.
centimeter,
And as we mentioned earlier, that nose cone has remained
yeah,
open since
centimeter
September, so this is the first time it's
square.
closing in a
Yeah,
few months.
hopefully centimeter square
Yeah,
there.
that's
And
absolutely
you can
right.
see the
Now, we
max
will be
mark that
expecting, as
it
I mentioned
enters
before, an
back when it actually
entry
started
brief
would be
from
around
SpaceX Core.
uh,
Again, that's the crew operations
Mark
resource engineer
26, or
who is
around,
seated
if
in
I
that
remember,
room
it
that you
should
see
be
there
around
on your screen.
26 the times
That entry
this
brief will provide
how do I say
updated
26
times for
times the
anticipated
speed of sound,
splashdown as
around
well as the
7
loss of signal or a period
7.4
of
plus,
VOS.
or maybe
That
7.2,
briefing will also give
7.1
us
kilometers
information
per
such as
per
wind
second.
speed and wave height
Or,
at the
yeah,
expected
per second
splashdown
like that.
location.
So
But all in
so
all,
that's why
everything
they need to
has
slow
been
it down.
great
And
today.
after that,
All events have
after
been
quite sometimes
executed on
it
time as
already
expected,
reaches that
and
kind
we
of
are looking forward to a
kind of
splashdown
peak
of the
max Q.
Crew-9 crew
Peak
at about
max Q was around
5:57 p.m.
4.2.
Eastern
Basically,
Time or 2:57
4.2 the
p.m. Pacific Time.
4.2 the times
Between
of
now and
the
then,
Earth
things are going to
gravitational
start moving quite quickly. In
force.
fact,
And then after that,
anything,
after
This
quite some
will have
points, it's
seemed
already
like the
gone properly
slower part
vertical.
of
It
the
would be
reentry
around
phase. We're going to go through, like
225
I said,
meters
that
per second,
period of
which will
loss
be
of signal or
transonic,
LOS.
less than
That
Mach
period
1.
is a few minutes
Oh
long
yeah,
where we
and
are
also
unable to
maybe looking
communicate or command the
at the graph,
capsule due to the
it's
plasma
the
that builds
Mach
up
1
on the
will be,
exterior
it
of the
still
capsule.
will be a Mach 1
That
by the time
period, like I
that
said, lasts
happens.
for a couple minutes.
You
We'll
know,
start to
it's
hear
because
SpaceX
they
Crew
are
hail
going at
the
the
Crew-9 crew
certain
a little bit earlier
atmospheric
than
layer
expected because we,
that it
in the past,
also
have actually
considers as
regained
something,
communications a couple minutes
that's
earlier
why
than
a
initially
little bit
anticipated. So
complicated here. Usually
we'll go through
the
that
if
period
from
of
what I
loss of
remember,
signal,
the
that
less
entry
the
period that
lesser dense the
specifically
atmosphere,
when the
usually
when the Dragon spacecraft
usually
is
it's sort of like
re-entering
the
through
easier it
the
will actually
atmosphere.
hit the Mach
Um,
1.
Approximately
So
at
basically even
about
this can be considered as Mach 1.
18,000 feet when the
So
capsule
that's
is
why.
traveling
Then
at
after that, at some
350 miles
points,
per
it will
hour. We'll
the
see
parachute
our
will
first
deploy
views of parachutes for the day. It's
around
one of my
5.5
favorite moments
kilometers,
of
of course.
return
Yeah,
sequences
around
is when we get to
5.5
see the drogue
kilometers.
parachutes. We'll see the drogues come
So
out. Those
that's
drogues
basically
will
the
help
sequence
slow
of
the
the
vehicle
flight
down
would be
to about 119 miles per hour.
around until at some
And
points,
then that is when the
So
main parachutes will
okay,
come out from the
so
Dragon
so
spacecraft
right now
and
we
then
are back
ultimately
again
end in splashdown.
to the live right now. So let's see.
And we are hearing confirmation that the nose cone is closed and everything was nominal or as expected with that closure. So as we begin the second half of entry, Dragon is now beginning to inject cooled nitrox into the air being delivered to the spacesuits worn by Nick, Suni, Butch, and Alexander. Again, this is what will allow the crew to remain comfortable while external temperatures reach 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit as they re-enter the
Or
Earth's
it should be
atmosphere.
around
So the
almost
heat shield is pointing
1,700
forward,
degrees
leading
Celsius.
Dragon
That's
to the
why I
landing
said
site.
Yeah. Now,
it's
speaking
kind of
of
pretty
the
hot.
heat shield, Dragon's
Even if it's
primary heat shield is comprised
even if
of
it's
Pica
half
3.0, which
uh,
stands for phenolic impregnated carbon
let's just say even
ablator.
if it's
The first gen Pica was initially
half
developed
the
by
heat
NASA for
amount
studying and sampling comets within our solar
of
system.
this surface of
SpaceX
sun, it's still
partnered with
not
NASA
comfortable.
to
I
develop
mean,
Pica X, which was the second
sweat.
generation product used on
You're
all
going to
Dragon 1
basically
cargo
even
resupply
not only
service
just
missions that
sweat, but
resupplied the International Space Station
if I
between
remember,
missions. Pica
around
3.0 was
that
developed
temperature, you're no
specifically
longer
for use on
going to sweat.
Dragon
You're
2
basically
crew
just
and cargo with enhanced
burn yourself
structural and
inside. So
thermal
that's why they
capabilities that
inject
allowed the heat shield to be
those nitrox cooling
even more
inside those
effective
suits.
in the
So
way that it
at least they can keep
utilized the ability
themselves
to
cool while they are in the
clear that
operation.
heat
And also
abruptly as
the
it
crew
goes through the
awareness
Earth's
is still
atmosphere.
important, even even if it's autonomous. Because you know why? Because let's just say if the Crew Dragon capsule decided to just do whatever it wants, the inside the onboard of the computer, at least they still
The
have time
remainder
to
of
hear
Dragon is
themselves
composed
pretty safe.
primarily
So
of
that's the
a
reason why.
SpaceX proprietary ablative material. It's another class of thermal protection which is lighter weight versus Pica and protects the underlying composite structure during reentry to ensure the structural capabilities are maintained.
While Dragon will experience temperatures well over 3,000 degrees during peak reentry conditions, the characteristics of the thermal protection system coupled with the environmental control and life support system in the pressurized interior will ensure that Nick, Suni, Butch, and Alexander stay cool and comfortable during all phases of reentry through splashdown.
Now, if you've just recently joined us, we hope to regain views of our
Yeah,
crew members
I'm
inside Dragon
sorry for
Freedom,
that. Hope
but we
it's still
don't have
fine.
those available at the moment due to ground station coverage.
Yep.
So we will bring those back to you as soon as we can. Now, after Dragon Freedom has re-entered the Earth's atmosphere, a series of parachutes will deploy to slow the crew's descent. First will be the 2 drogue parachutes, followed by the 4 main parachutes, and those will guide Dragon to its first contact with Earth since it launched back in September. Dragon will automatically deploy these parachutes when different pressure and positioning sensors on the spacecraft detect that they're at the right speed and altitude.
Vehicle velocity at drogue deploy is approximately 350 miles per hour.
Yeah, so
and they
basically it's
deploy
also
at about 18,000
depending on
feet.
where
Now,
they're
the
going to
vehicle
deploy
velocity at
those
main
parachute,
deploy
right?
is approximately
So like it
119
says,
miles per
some
hour, and they deploy at about
it can just deploy
6,100
only
feet.
just one
When
one
Dragon
one shoot
splashes
just
down
to
in the
slow
water,
it
the
down,
vehicle
mostly as
velocity
a
will be
drop shoot,
about
and then it
16
will just
miles per
deploy the
hour. So
rest
you
of
can
these
really see how those
three
parachutes help to
main
slow
shoots
down the
after
crew
that it
inside the
says
capsule. The
there.
highest G load the crew
So
is expected to
I'll
experience
try to
today
find.
is about 3 to 5 Gs.
Okay,
Yeah, when you think about really fun
deploy.
roller coasters, they're
That
about
is
in that
fine.
range. So
Let me find
I'm sure that our crew on
the
board
exact images, so,
will be well
we might be
equipped
able to find.
to
Okay,
experience those Gs. It's nothing for them. They go through much
let's
more intense
let's see.
training.
And so we are continuing to make our way through a number of milestones today. We did have trunk separation.
Freedom, SpaceX. Nose cone is secure for entry.
Oh, right. Nose cone is secured before
All right,
entry,
great
it
news
says there,
there.
and
That
also
tells
it's going
us
to be
that the
communication
final
losses, or
physical
basically the LOS, loss
configuration
of signal.
change for
So we are
Dragon
going
is
to see
complete.
how it
We
looks like.
have closed that nose cone. This is the last physical change that Dragon undergoes prior to re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. It's important that that nose cone is completely closed because underneath it is not only where the 4 forward Draco thrusters are located, but it's also because that is where the forward hatch is located. That is the hatch that is utilized for the crew to ingress and egress from the station while it is docked on board. And since our capsules are flight proven and we reuse them on future space flights, we want to make sure that all of the integrity of that hardware remains intact. So
Yeah, so
that nose cone
I can try to
is
show you guys here.
successfully closed.
So basically,
And
this is how it
we're
looks
going
like.
to start moving pretty quickly here. As I mentioned before,
Okay,
we'll
so
go through
basically,
loss of
how do we
signal.
make it
We'll get
properly
that signal back several
zoomed in?
minutes
Let
later,
me try.
and then we'll see the parachute action.
Yeah,
Yep,
because
and then that's all ahead of splashdown off the
I'm not
coast of
going
Florida.
too much
We're
here. So
targeting
this is how
Tallahassee as our
the return to
splashdown
Earth
zone
looks like
today
here.
at 2:57 p.m. Pacific
As
time
we
this
can
afternoon.
see
Now, you did mention the call to the
from
crew.
here.
They'll do some additional
Yeah.
calculations following that burn
So this is what we've
potentially
already
let us know if that splashdown time has
previously
changed
it's something it
at
is.
all. But right now, we are
The first
continuing
it's
to
already
target
separate from
2:57
the
p.m.
spacecraft itself,
And you can
and
see
then
there
after
on your
that
screen a
the
path
word
of where
we've
Dragon will
already
be
also
re-entering today.
seen
So if
yesterday,
you are in
and then
the
phasing
southern tip
towards
of
to
Mexico, you
orbit
might have the
Earth. This is
opportunity
material
to
from
see
ESA,
Dragon. Because it's
the
a
European Space
daytime
Agency. So
splashdown, you
also
probably
credit
won't
to
have
them
too great of views, but
for the
potentially
infographic,
you'll have the opportunity to get a glimpse of
and
it
it
there.
orbits Earth for a while, separate from the Dragon trunk,
Once
as
again,
we've heard
Dragon operators,
right now.
they're
And the transfer
monitoring the
fire, it
progress
says
of
up to
Dragon
70
through this
minutes to
re-entry
break. It has
phase.
already done
That
it
is SpaceX Mission
using it,
Control
and
located
then
here in Hawthorne,
you
California.
have already
That is
here
also where
the
the
sequence.
crew
It says
operations and resource
NOSCON
engineer is seated.
has already
That
closed, and
person
now
is the
they're
voice that we
they're
have heard
getting
multiple
themselves
times and will
back
continue to hear
oriented
as the
in
primary point
180
of
degrees.
contact to the crew
So
on
now
board
the
Dragon Freedom.
re-entry burn
We will
shield that
also
we have
hear the
already
voice
discussed
of
before,
Commander
the
Nick
below
Hague.
of it will
Basically,
protect the
after
brunt of
we
the
hear
atmosphere in
the core
re-entry, and then when it
communicate something, we will hear Nick
re-enter
Hague
in the atmosphere,
indicate
it
that
will
they
peak
copy, that they
heating will
heard
be
the
still
message
be around
while some sort of recognition that a message was received.
1600 degrees Celsius, which will be half around
If you
half
joined us yesterday for our
half the
coverage
heating
during the undocking, we were communicating through
surface of the
something that's
sun.
called a
So
bidding
basically,
loop.
that's why.
We do that when we're in integrated
So
operations with
and
the
while that's
international.
happened,
Freedom, SpaceX for entry sequence. Report when ready to copy.
okay, and also when that happens, okay, so
All right, I've got some updated times for you. Our COM blackout start time is 2144. Our COM blackout end time is 2151. And our splashdown time is the same per your displays, 2157.
all right, so slightly a little bit longer there, 4 until uh, what? Oh, basically almost 10 minutes of LOS, loss of signal. So we're going to hear that.
That's a good readback. And with that, please report when tablets are secured behind the elastic bands, restraints are tight, and visors are down.
Okay, so that's with here. There's some at the final preparation before they finally re-enter. So that's basically the story of it.
And with that communication from the Corps or Crew Operations Resource Engineer here in Hawthorne to
So
Commander Nick Hague of Crew Dragon Freedom, we did hear that the
so
loss of
basically right now
signal
we are
period is
looking in
still at
between of this
2:44
journey right
p.m.
now.
Pacific, but we had a 1-minute adjustment to the acquisition of signal. That's going to now be at 2:51 p.m. Pacific time. However, our splashdown time remains the same at 2:57 p.m. Pacific time this afternoon off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida.
So
Okay, should be around 7-8 minutes of LOS. So that's the reason why.
As we've mentioned
Usually
before, we are
LOS will
splashing
happen
down
around this
on
area,
the Gulf
at
Coast.
this
We have
area. Maybe
ability to
you might
splash
be
down
asking why,
on
because
either
you need
side
to
of
remember
Florida,
that
but the location site
when it
just
actually
outside of
renders, not
Tallahassee,
only you
Florida
have to
is
deal
the
with the
site that was
the
selected
heating
today
the
due
heating
to
inside of
best
it and
recovery
whatnot. I
conditions.
mean, you need to remember
And
this
as Sandra mentioned before,
this
weather is
this
always a
re-entry
watch item, but
heating
everything
also
is looking great for
is
that
basically a
particular recovery location. So I'm sure once we
super
start
fast
getting views from the
plasma.
recovery
Okay,
vessel,
plasma. Let's just say
I
I
have a
like to
feeling
use
it's going
this
to be
fancy word,
a pretty
plasma ion.
beautiful
So
afternoon.
because of that, of course, it's going
And
to
we did mention
interfere
that, of
with
course, this is a daylight
radio signal,
splashdown,
and
so
because
we
it
should be getting some
interferes
great
with the
views.
radio signals,
We do
it's
have a
way
couple of
stronger than
spacecraft
that.
called the
Of course, it's
WB-57, which are high
of course we are going
altitude
to see
planes
LOS.
that NASA utilizes
This
during
is very typical.
splashdown
As long as everyone
operations.
survives,
Those are
it's
en
totally
route
fine.
and going to be
And then
tracking
after
the
that, we are
capsule
going
as
to
it
see the
makes its
drop
way through the atmosphere.
parachutes, in
Should
which
be
you can see
providing some
those
good
two
views for
small
us.
drop
Kate and I were
parachutes.
just chatting about how we
We
haven't
should be
had
able
a
to
daytime
deploy
splashdown in a
at
little while, so
the
we're looking forward to the views along with
altitude
you.
of 5.7 kilometers.
Nighttime views are
And then
also
after that,
great because we can see that capsule streaking
and then
through the
after at
night
some points
sky
around
quite
2
brightly.
kilometers in
Like
altitude,
Sandra, you said
these
earlier,
4 main
daylight
parachutes will
will be a
deploy.
little bit less bright, but
If I remember, also in
we
the
will definitely be able to
worst
see
case
the
scenario,
SpaceX recovery team
it should also be
operations
able
much
to
clearer.
uh,
I could also
it should
imagine it's
also
probably
be
a
able
little
to
bit easier
operable
for the team
even those
themselves
even
to
only
do
2
their
or
work in
1 if I remember
daytime than
correctly.
at
So
nighttime.
then technically they
We'll
still
see them rush
can
in
they still
really
can
quickly
blend
with a
properly
couple of
even
fast
despite the
spins as
problem.
they begin
Okay,
the initial
and even the
safety
drop parachute
checks
also
and
have the
studies of
same
the Dragon
amount,
capsule,
have
while
also the
also
same amount of
retrieving the
redundancy.
parachutes
It
from
still can
the
work even
surface
with
of
one.
the ocean.
Okay, so
The
no worries about
recovery
that.
vessel, the
And
main
as you can
recovery
see,
vessel, will continue
there's
to
here
make its
there
way
is landing
closer to the
option
Dragon capsule. It
A
is
and also
stationed a
landing
couple
option
miles
B.
away from
This B is
from
basically the
the
Gulf of
actual
Mexico
recovery
or
location, the
Gulf of
splashdown
America,
location,
whichever
for obvious
you
safety
prefer.
purposes. So it
It
takes a
will
little
land it
while
here,
for that
so we are
vessel
going to
to
see
make its way
Blue
over,
Dragon will land
but once it's
this area.
closer, we'll
This
have
one
even
is
better
the
views of
Pacific Ocean.
those recovery
This
operations.
one will
And
be
you may be wondering why sometimes
moving
we
forward
splash down in the
Crew
daytime
Crew-9
versus the
flight. So
nighttime. And
that's
believe
the
me,
reason
we would
why.
all
You know,
love for these operations to happen
those
during
trunk
regular daytime working hours, but
debris.
unfortunately, orbital
Also, one
mechanics
of the
just
reasons
doesn't
why
quite
they
work
have to
out that
switch
way.
it back
So
to
it has
here.
to deal with the location of the
But for now,
International
we are
Space
going to see
Station,
here
as
the
well as
landing option
where
number
the
B. The
splashdown
landing
zone
option B,
is
the
on Earth in
Gulf
that
of
trajectory, as
Mexico
well as
or
the
slash
phasing. So
Gulf
as
of
we mentioned earlier,
America area.
sometimes we have
So it's
phasing
going
as
to be
short
here.
as 6 hours,
And then after
sometimes
the
in excess of
splashdown,
30 plus hours. It just depends
after the
on where the
splashdown
targeted area is
around that
that
area,
the capsule is going to
the
splash down. So today's
nearby
phasing
ship
has been 17 hours
will
since
collect the
undocking occurred at
capsules and
10:05
will
p.m.
also
Pacific
retrieve the
yesterday evening
astronauts
for us
and
here
will
in Hawthorne.
welcome them back to Earth.
Early,
So
early wee
basically,
hours for folks on the East Coast
that's
and
the
in other
sequence
areas of
in
the
the
United
nutshell. So
States.
Yeah, but
that's why.
regardless of whether it's daytime or nighttime, the SpaceX recovery team has trained and practiced and rehearsed for it all. So regardless of daylight, they are really efficient with those operations. And
Yeah,
but like you
and
said,
also
Sandra, it has
for you
been
guys
a
still
minute
watching
since
here,
we have seen a
don't
daytime
forget
splashdown on
to
a
hit the like
NASA
of this
SpaceX
video
Crew
if you
mission.
enjoy,
The last
and
daytime
if you
recovery
really want
was
to
on
see
Crew 4,
my content onward,
which was the debut
feel free to
flight
subscribe
for
to my channel.
the capsule
So
flying
thank you
today,
everyone.
the
So,
spacecraft
and
known
also
as
sorry for the
Dragon
reminder.
Freedom.
Yeah,
And so
but
yeah, kind of a fun
but
fact there in terms of
that also
the
going to
timing of that
help
daylight
me continue
splashdowns.
make those video, and especially
Once again,
know a
standing
little bit
by
story
for more
about
communication with the crew. The next
YouTube.
event that we
Basically,
have coming up
any site
is
that can stream or even host a
the
video,
start of that period known as loss
basically
of
the story
signal.
behind the scene,
That is the period
algorithm stuff,
still
some how
expected
do you say
at
some with
2:44
management,
p.m. Pacific time.
upper
This lasts for
management of
several
this
minutes
platform
while the
story in the
capsule
official, but Right.
Making its way
Fine.
through
Fine.
the Earth's atmosphere, the heat shield
As
located
always,
at the bottom of the
you
capsule, really
continue
doing all the work at that
support your
point in
favorite
time in
creator.
terms of using
Content
the
favorite
atmosphere
content
to
creator.
slow the capsule down from its orbital speeds of 17,500 miles per hour.
Our tablets are secure, restraints are tightened, visors down. We are
Okay.
cleared for entry.
Okay, so their visor has already gone down.
Freedom, I copied. Tablets are secured, restraints are tight, and visors down.
Okay, so basically now they are fully ready. If I remember, it's something like.
All right, great news there in terms of continuing to make progress. That back and forth communication we heard was just letting Core know that per their instructions, Crew-9 has now put away everything that was necessary in order to begin the re-entry, including those tablets that were located on their legs. Those are now stowed away. They've tightened that safety harness that we see there, and the visors are now down. So with all that being said, let's take a minute to meet our returning crew. U.S. Space Force Colonel Nick Hague is your Crew-9 commander. He was
so
selected
this is
by
their
NASA
profile.
as an astronaut in 2013. This was his second spaceflight to the International Space Station and third launch overall. He spent 171 days in space with Crew-9 and has a career total of
So you know this
days in
Nick
space.
Hague guy, right?
During his mission, he completed a spacewalk with astronaut Suni
You know
Williams.
this Nick
That
Hague
was
guy,
his fourth
also one of the
spacewalk, earning him a
crew of
career
the
total
Soyuz
of 25
MS-10.
hours,
All
56
you know,
minutes
if
of
you know
spacewalking
about the
time.
if you know about the
Before Crew-9,
flight, it's
had
basically
previously served as a crew member of
infamously known
Expedition
because
59 and 60
the
back in
Soyuz
2018. He flew with
Soyuz
Alexei
FG,
Ovchin,
basically a Soyuz frigate rocket.
Ovchinin, and
One of these
NASA's
had
Christina
booster
Koch. So this is his second
um,
time sharing the space
actually,
station with Ovchinin.
let's
The
just say it
designated
collided
is a test pilot and distinguished
with the core
graduate
stage of
of the
the
United States Air Force
Soyuz rocket
Academy.
itself, and then
Nick
when it
spent
collided,
5 months in Iraq in support
apparently
of
the
Operational
crew
Iraqi Freedom,
realizes that they
voluntarily
cannot just go
transferred from the United
go
States Air Force to U.S.
to the
Space Force
orbit,
in
go to the
2021,
ISS. So
and is an active
what they
colonel.
do is they have
His
no
wife
option but
Katie
to
is a
just
retired U.S. Air
ditch
Force colonel, and they have 2
the
sons.
entire
NASA
rocket.
astronaut
They
Suni
separate themselves
Williams
and
is
then
a mission
re-enter back to Earth.
specialist for Crew-9.
You know
This
about the
was her
story.
third visit to the
He's one
International
of the
Space
crew,
Station.
and
She originally
yeah,
launched aboard Boeing
he's
Starliner
pretty experienced too
spacecraft
at this
and
same
arrived at the
time.
space station on
And
June
yeah,
6th.
this Sunita
Following the
Williams.
agency's
You see,
decision to return
you see.
Starliner uncrewed, she became an Expedition 71 and 72 crew member, where she logged 286 days in space on this mission.
Yeah, you know,
But Suni has a total of
the
608
Sunita
days
Williams
in
along
space,
with
the second most
Butch
time in space by a U.S.
Butch
astronaut.
Wilmore.
5 minutes until predicted comm blackout.
Okay.
See you on the other side at 21:51.
And if I remember correctly, Sunita Williams is actually right now, in terms of statistic of the space walk,
And with that call
the
out
EVS
from
space
the
walk,
crew
she's right
operations
now the
resource
number one
engineer to Commander Nick
for
Hague, letting them know that
woman, and
everything is
basically
looking
in
good
total
ahead
she's right
of
now
the loss of
just
signal period.
top
We will
number
see
4
her on the other
on the
side
list
of
itself.
the
So
loss of signal
you know,
period at
she's a little bit,
2:51 p.m.
you know,
Pacific time this afternoon.
because of how do I
Continuing
say
on a
trying
bit
the
about Suni
situation,
Williams, who has a
she's
total
right
of
now
608 days in space, the second most
yeah
time in space by a U.S. astronaut.
yeah
Former NASA
that's
astronaut
why
Peggy
now
Whitson actually ranks
yes
first for the U.S. with
the
675 days in space. Suni conducted 2 spacewalks and has completed 9 over the course of her career for a total of 62 hours, 6 minutes of spacewalking time. She ranks 4th on the list of cumulative time spacewalking by a female astronaut, and she has flown on 4 different spacecraft types, including the Space Shuttle, Soyuz, Starliner, and now Dragon. Previously, she served on
so that's the
Expedition
reason
14
you
and
hear it.
15 in
She's
2006
basically
and
already the top
2007, and again with
already being
Expedition
in the top of
32 and
line
33
right now
in
in terms of
2012.
best
She's a retired
best
U.S.
walking.
Navy captain and is a
So
proud
that's also
graduate
part
of
of
the
the
U.S.
reason
Naval Academy
why.
and was the first astronaut to run a marathon in space.
Pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Now,
So
NASA
this
astronaut
also
Butch
Butch
Wilmore is
Wilmore.
also serving as a mission specialist today. This is his 3rd spaceflight, and just like Suni, logged 286 days in space. He conducted 1 spacewalk and completed 5 over the course of his career, earning him a total spacewalking time of 21 hours and 2 minutes. He's flown on 4 different spacecraft types throughout his career: the Space Shuttle, Soyuz, Starliner, and now Dragon. Previously, the Mount Juliet, Tennessee native served on STS-129 in 2009 and Expedition 41 and 42 from 2014 to 2015.
So
Wilmore is
basically,
also
yes,
a retired
yeah,
captain
sort of
in the
like
U.S. Navy.
saving,
Next up
saving,
is
saving
Alexander
them too at this
Gorbunov, who
same
is the
time.
3rd mission specialist serving on today's mission. Crew-9 was his first space flight to the space station, earning him a total of
Yeah,
174 days in
the,
space over the course
this
of his career.
cosmonaut,
Gorbunov, along with Nick Hague,
Alexander
saw the arrival of
Gorbunov,
4 visiting
this is his
vehicles and
first,
saw the departure of 4 as
this is
well. The
his
duo
first,
orbited the Earth more than
first space flight,
2,700
of
times
course.
since September.
Also,
Before his
also the
cosmonaut
same thing, if I
selection in
remember, even
2018, Gorbunov worked
uh,
as an engineer for
yeah,
a
even the
rocket spacecraft
crew,
operation,
one
and
of the
also
crew
covered cargo spacecraft
10
launches from the Baikonur
10
Cosmodrome
crew
in
list also,
Kazakhstan.
the Kirill Peskov, he's actually also the first, he's actually, that's, he's,
So if you are just
Kirill
joining us,
Peskov
we are
also
continuing
got
to
his
bring you
first
live coverage of
space
Crew-9's
flight,
return
right
to
now.
Earth
He's
following
orbiting
their mission aboard the
the
International Space
ISS
Station,
along
where
with
they completed science and
his
research
crew
investigations.
10,
We are targeting
10 crew
splashdown off the
list too.
coast
So,
of Florida
that's
at
the story of it.
2:57 p.m. Pacific time. The next major milestone that we'll look ahead towards is what we call loss of signal, or LOS, when we won't have communications with the crew because they will be re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. And
Yeah,
during this process, there is plasma that builds up
this
around
is,
that heat shield.
yeah,
So we are not able to communicate with the crew, but we are anticipating to regain communications with the crew at a short time from now.
that's the reason why, because those plasma, it interferes with
2:51
the
p.m. Pacific
radio
time
signal.
today.
So that's why they
As
cannot
we said
communicate. But
before,
going to be
everything
brief,
continues to
to
look
be around
good for the return of the
7-8 minutes like that.
Crew-9
Still
team.
totally fine as
We
long they are
are
safe.
about to
Yeah.
go into that period
So,
of loss of signal.
so this is not
Once
something
we
we
get
should be
views
too worried.
of the crew inside the capsule, once again, we will be sure to bring those to you. But that period of time is when plasma is building up on the exterior of the capsule, generating heat in excess of 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit. So we are unable to communicate or command the spacecraft at that time. And that includes, unfortunately, video feeds as well. So as soon as we get
It basically
views back
going to
inside Dragon,
affect
we will
most of
bring those to you. But
the
until then,
communication, even the
we are
video,
going to stand by and continue to
picture, and
monitor
what's
the
on.
progress
But
of
it's totally
Dragon. Alexandra
not to be
just
worried
said
about.
we are anticipating
As long as they're
the
still able to
blackout
communicate
period
after
to
the
begin at
blackout
2:51 p.m.
window
Pacific
time,
time,
it's totally
5:51
fine.
p.m.
That's
Eastern
basically the
time.
story of it.
This will last for several minutes. It's not super exact, even though we are predicting acquisition of signal, or AOS, to come back at 5:51 p.m. Eastern time. In the past, we have regained communication
So
sometimes a little bit earlier than that. So we'll probably start to hear Core begin to hail Crew Dragon a minute or two prior to that anticipated acquisition of signal.
yeah,
But right now,
so
Nick, Suni,
let's
Butch,
pay
and
some
Alexandra
attention.
are
Maybe
seated in
the
their
communication
seats inside Dragon
will be
Freedom.
restored
Their
slightly a
visors are
little bit
down,
earlier.
and they
It's
have
also
put away or
depending on the
stored the tablets that they
velocity
had
and also
located
the
on their
atmospheric
upper
condition
leg
there.
to
So
monitor Dragon's
if
progress.
atmospheric
Now they
condition
will
is
be
pretty
utilizing
favorable
the
and it's
touchscreen
already
displays
slowed down at
where the
pretty
current operations
pretty
and their
late,
operations
let's just
will
say
be displayed
around
as they
the
are able to
acceptable
monitor
velocity,
Dragon's progress
acceptable
continually. As I
speeds,
said before,
speed
Dragon is
spreading
autonomous, meaning
around
it
the
is flying
atmosphere.
itself.
Maybe we'll
So the
hear,
crew stands
maybe
by
we
and
get this
monitors,
AOS back,
and those
acquisition of
touchscreen
signal,
displays are what will be
maybe a
allowing
minute
them
or
to do
two,
so and
little bit
prepare
earlier
for
than
events such
what
as
we plan.
such as
And it
parachute
should be
deployment.
touched down around
And while on
11
board the
minutes from now,
International
so
Space
we are going
Station,
to
Nick,
see it.
Suni, Butch, and Alexander contributed to over 900 hours of science and research investigations, which is really the key purpose of the International Space Station. Now, the International Space Station is celebrating a major milestone this year where they will be celebrating 25 years of continuous human presence in November. So if you're younger than 25 years, you've never known a day where there hasn't been a human living and working aboard the International Space Station, contributing to key science and research investigations that impact our lives here on
and
Earth.
also
There's research
I can
being
show to
done
you
on
how the
Parkinson's, on osteoporosis, on cancer
how it
research,
looks
and
like,
a
right?
variety of other
So
studies. Additionally, the
this is how the Crew
microgravity
Dragon looks
laboratory
like with
provides
the
a
visor
jumping-off
down.
point for us as we
Okay,
venture back to the moon
and
and
this is the
onto Mars
crew.
through longer duration space flights.
Also
One
using
such example that the
this
crew
is
worked on
the
during
Crew
this
one.
mission was
As you can see,
an alternative exercise
this is
device.
them
In microgravity, the crew has
using
to
those
exercise
visor.
for about 2
You
hours a
can
day
see it's
because
pretty
they're not
clear, pretty
having the effects
futuristic.
of
You can
gravity
see,
on their body. So to
and
prevent bone and
also
muscle loss, we
as you can see,
counteract
this
that with
is
2 hours of exercise
at
per
the
day.
left side.
On board
This
the
one is
International Space
without
Station,
the
they have
visor.
3 ways in
So
which
this
they
is
can
some
exercise.
differences
They
using
have
the
a
visor
bike,
and
they have a
done
treadmill, and they have a
visor
similar
too.
to a weightlifting
This is
machine
with the
that
visor.
counteracts the microgravity
This one is
environment.
without
But
visor,
a
without the
particular experiment
glasses.
that this crew tested
So
out was a
that's
combination of
basically in
all
a
3
nutshell
of those
what
in
this is
one smaller
about
device. And this is really critical as we continue
about
on
closing
to
down those
the moon, Mars,
visor,
and
right? So
beyond,
this is
because
very
space
important
is
because
really important
you
in
want to
spacecraft.
keep
So if we have something
the
smaller
pressure
that
of the
we might be
body
able
and
to
the
utilize that can
outside
potentially
quite
help us
plus minus
venture out even
the
further
same, and
into the
also
solar system.
you want to ensure
So
that
science is
those
really
crew
the
able
name
to
of the game when it
breathe
comes to
and
the
basically
International Space
exchange those
Station. Some of the other
carbon
science
dioxide
highlights
with
that took place
oxygen. So
during this
that's why they have
period
to
that
use
are
those
particularly
suit, and
interesting to
that's
me
why they have
was
to
we had the first wooden
uh,
satellite that was
they have to
deployed.
take down those
This is a
visor.
study to see
Okay,
if other
so
materials might
that's it.
be more
And
resourceful
right now
or
it's
renewable
already
in
around
space. So
LOS,
I'm really excited to see
but
the
we'll
results
see.
of that one as well.
We might hear
Additionally, we had
AOS
a
anytime
couple of
soon.
spacewalks that
So
took
let's see.
place to not only provide maintenance to the International Space Station, but also where we swabbed the outside of the space station near vents to see if any microbes that we all have microbes on us, to see if any of those could survive in the harsh environment of space, which again is very important for us to know and understand as we continue to the moon, Mars, and beyond.
Very exciting stuff. Now, at this point, we have now entered the communications blackout period for the Dragon spacecraft. This lasts approximately 7 minutes due to plasma formation around the spacecraft itself. During this time, no vehicle telemetry is received by mission control or the recovery team, and no external commanding of the vehicle or voice communication is possible. But as a reminder, Dragon is designed to fly itself. During reentry, the vehicle will be slowing down from orbital velocity, which is approximately 17,500 miles per hour. The top temperature that Dragon will experience upon reentry is 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit. This blackout period, as I said before, we expect it to last about 7 minutes today, concluding at 5:51 p.m. Eastern Time or 2:51 p.m. Pacific Time. We, right there, have our first view of Dragon Freedom coming home to Earth.
Oh, so this is the
From the
view.
WB-57, which is one of NASA's high-altitude planes that
As you
is
can see
tracking.
here.
Now, because of the way that this camera is configured, it does look like it is dark, but it is indeed daytime, and you're beginning to see that
Yeah, so
plasma trail as
this is the
Dragon
infrared
re-enters
view.
the Earth's
Okay, so
atmosphere.
don't
All of
worry
that
about
is
this.
expected. We are
The
anticipating
infrared
an
view
acquisition of
usually
signal around 2:51 p.m.
would be
Pacific Time,
white
so
and black
just minutes
view
from
like that.
now, and you may hear the core
Or
begin to
maybe,
hail out
or also
or call
can be
Dragon
like the
for communications,
but
and see if we
basically
can
would
potentially get
show
communications with them a
red,
little bit earlier. Following this, we'll
red,
have 2
orange,
events
blue,
in rapid succession.
whatever color
The
is it,
drogue
depending on
parachutes
how hot
deploy
or
at
cold is it.
2:53 p.m.
So,
Pacific,
yeah,
followed by the mains just 1 minute later at 2:54 p.m.
okay,
Pacific Time,
that's
ahead of a
interesting.
splashdown at 2:57 p.m. Pacific Time off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida.
Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, I have.
Pretty incredible views of the Dragon spacecraft
Yeah,
making
so
its way home
how
back
does the
to
signal
planet
interfere? I
Earth
can show
with
to you guys
the
here.
Crew-9 astronauts on
Yeah,
board.
it's something more
Once again,
like
this view is coming
here.
from the WB-57 plane.
As you can see, the
That
reason
heat
why is here.
shield we can see doing magnificent work
What the crew
as
actually
it works
experiencing
to
is the
SpaceX
is the
contract.
stream of the of the plasma layer, right? So basically, when they re-enter, it's basically, let's just
All right, we're
imagine
going to start
this is
hearing
the
the
re-entry, right?
SpaceX Crew Operations
Imagine it's going to
Resource
re-enter
Engineer.
because there is too much plasma layer of the electron and also positive ion charge. Because of it, it's going to
Copy that,
cause
Freedom.
the radio blackout signal there because it's already
Great news
interfering with
there from
lots of
Commander Nick Hague reporting
uh,
back.
I see a healthy
particle
flight here.
charges,
Expect automated
the
chute deployment.
the the electron and also the positive charge there. And electron is basically a negative charge. So
Like we said
because it
before, things
interfere
moving
with
very
those two,
quickly
and
as
even if it
Dragon
tries to stream
makes its
anything
way
and whatnot,
home.
it cannot work. So
Next event coming up will be
yeah,
deployment
so
of
you
the
can see
drogue parachutes.
this
This
is how
occurs
it
around
in the nutshell.
18,000
Even though this is
feet.
a data relay
GPS
satellite
has
and whatsoever,
converged.
right?
Expect nominal
But
altitude for drogue chute deployment.
yeah, but this is how it looks like. Okay, so this is what the crew experienced while it re-enters back to Earth, of course.
We're about 2 minutes away from deployment of those drogue parachutes.
Okay,
Now the
2
heat
minutes
shield
before deploying of the shoot
is
of
continuing
the
to work to
rock
slow
shoot,
the vehicle down.
they will
That entry
slow it down
period,
up to this
the
subsonic
Dragon
speed,
spacecraft went from orbital
subsonic,
velocity
and
about
then
17,500 miles per
lower than
hour
that, it
down
should
to
be
about
fine.
350 miles per hour. So it really gives
So
you a
we are
sense
going
of
to see.
why that plasma builds up on the exterior of the capsule, thanks to the heat shield and the work that it does. Those drogue parachutes will slow it down from
Okay, so this is
350
how the
to
crew
about
looks down,
119
and this
miles
is
per
the
hour. We can
AOS,
see
acquisition of signal.
Brace for drogue window.
Okay,
seat rotation happening
15
inside the
kilometers
capsule.
of
Great to get those first
altitude
views
to be
of
fine.
our crew members.
Yeah, so that's why I said they can get signal even
Once
earlier
again, the capsules
sometimes.
are going about 350 miles per hour when the drogues are deployed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Those
Sorry for
drogue
that.
parachutes that we
Still
manufacture
fine.
here in-house are going to slow the spacecraft down to 119 miles per hour. And that is when we
How
will
to
see
even
the main
translate this? This
parachutes
is
deploy, and that occurs
something
about
something about
6,000 feet above the
first they are
capsule
going with
surface.
several hundred plus
And we are
kilometer per
expecting
hour,
drogue
and after that
dedeployment at
it
2:53
would be
p.m.
slowed down up
Pacific. So we
until
should see
300
it any
plus
second now. And there you are
kilometers
getting a
per
great
hour.
view of
I guess
Crew-9
this is what
inside
it tries to
Dragon
say.
Freedom as it returns back to
Oh,
Earth.
and
We
this
are
is now
awaiting
the
the drogue
view.
deploys.
Okay,
This
the
view
tracking
coming from the
view.
WB-57 high altitude plane. And there you
Okay,
see it on
so
your
you can
screen,
see this
drogue
is the
deployment.
rock shoot. It's now slowing the spacecraft down. The two of two drop shoot has already deployed successfully. So nice. And also as the shoot also deploys, you can see because of the air resistance imparted uh, and also exerted as
Now
the
stand
result of the drop
by
shoot. As you can
for
see, it's also
main
going
deployment of the
slightly
parachutes.
swaying
The
to
mains are quite a bit larger.
left,
You'll be
right.
able to
But
notice the
this
difference
is
on your
mostly
screen
fine.
once they deploy,
So
and they
it's not swaying
continue
too
to
much, and the crew
ensure
is
that the
still safe.
Dragon
And let's see
spacecraft slows
the
down even further. As
main
we
should
mentioned,
deploy.
Freedom
Let's
will be
see.
traveling 16 miles
And then
per hour when
it
it
should
splashes
ditch
down
those
off the coast of
two drop
Tallahassee,
shoot. After
Florida,
that, we'll
here
see.
at 2:57
And this is the
p.m.
onboard
Pacific time this
camera.
afternoon. And there
Okay,
you are.
and see. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. And now, 404 main shoot has already successfully. Okay, let's see. It should have successfully fully. Okay, everything is successfully deployed. Okay, nice. And we are going to see it. It will be properly landing, and looks like we have slightly earlier landing than usual. So, but it's still fine. Everyone, as long as everyone is safe. Yeah. So,
As we
so
heard right
let's see.
there, Commander Nick Hague will be
This is
calling out the
nice.
altitude
Let's
of the
see.
Dragon capsule from here on out. Landing in water is simpler
Let's
and
see.
provides
Let's
more
see.
margin against unlikely parachute issues. You can see those parachutes
Yeah.
continuing to slow the Dragon capsule down.
And if you're just joining us, You're looking at
800 meters.
a live view
Okay,
of Crew 9
800 meters before
just minutes away
touchdown
from splashing
and
down off
landing
the
uh,
coast
uh,
of
and
Tallahassee, Florida.
yeah,
Splashdown 2
and
minutes from now,
around the sea
2:57
area.
p.m. Pacific.
So
We do
let's
have
see.
4 healthy mains really doing the job
Okay,
there.
so now
Just
this is the board view.
breathtaking views of a
Wow,
calm,
that's a
glass-like
really
ocean
beautiful
off the
shot
coast of
there,
Tallahassee, Florida.
and
Crew 9
beautiful,
just minutes away from splashing down.
This is
and
really
also
such an incredible
beautiful
shot.
evening around the
That
Copy,
was
600.
eastern coast
that
of
was a live view
eastern coast
from our
area of
recovery
US. It's
vessel,
pretty good,
Megan, which is stationed a couple
beautiful.
miles away from the splashdown site.
I mean,
We can
man,
see the crew there
also
using their
pretty
restraints
blue
as
sky there.
resting places
It's
for
nice.
their arms.
Let's
They
see.
were just in space moments ago, so their arms were able to float freely.
Okay, so let's see.
400 meters.
Okay, 400 meters already
We'll just
covered
take
the
a
half.
close
Before we have
bluebird day
heard
here that
before
we
that
have
it's
for
900
the
meters, right?
splashdown of Crew 9.
Now this is 400
It's
meters.
incredible to think that the Dragon capsule just minutes ago was going over 17,000 miles per hour, and now gently coasting to a soft splashdown.
200.
Okay, 200 meters already covered
Copy,
another
200
half.
meters. Brace for splashdown.
Okay, so press for the splashdown, and for the viewers, welcome. We are
As you
still
can see
watching
there on your
those
screen,
Crew 9.
continuing to monitor the
Crew
progress
Dragon
of the
Freedom
Dragon
is still on the
spacecraft,
way for
and we're going
landing
to
and
stand by for
touchdown and landing
splashdown
and splashdown
located in the
around
Gulf
the
of
water
America,
area
off the
there.
coast of
I think
Tallahassee,
I'm a
Florida.
little bit of loss of the word. Sure, if you use splashdown, but whatever, it's still fine. And splashdown, splashdown. Finally, splashdown, touchdown, and landing around the area. As you can see, wow, beautiful shot there. I hope they also take a good picture of this, because
Good main room.
I might also use
Copy,
this for
splashdown. We see
my
main crew to cut. Nick,
future
Alex,
crew
Butch,
uh,
Suni, on
space
behalf of SpaceX,
NASA SpaceX
welcome home.
Crew Dragon thumbnail. I hope I can use this too. Oh, and now this is another
And,
another
an amazing
another shot by the
what a ride.
drone. It's pretty near
Full
to the
of grins here.
Crew Dragon there, and everyone looks safe. Yeah, it's oceany. It's moving inside. But yeah, it's totally fine. They are fine too. And the mission is basically declared pretty successful.
You can see on your screen we have visual confirmation
So we
of
are just waiting for the
Dragon
boat
Freedom
to
has
finally
returned
arrive
home,
and
NASA astronauts
taking them
System
back
safety
safely.
relocations are in progress. We'll report back when recovery personnel are en route.
Okay, looks pretty nice.
Understand. And we're in section 2, 4.800 landing response.
Yeah, so you can see
Looking for your words. And it's going to is necessary.
this is now round the clock view right now.
In the distance, we
All
can see
side
the
view, I
recovery
guess.
vessel making its way.
Copy, you're in
Okay,
section 2
so
for the
now the
environmental
vessel is
assessment in
basically on the way.
4.800. That is not necessary today.
If I remember, the vessel that will take them is MV Megan.
Understand.
Yeah, one of the SpaceX fleet for around the sea, of course. For the recovery vessel fleet. So one of the two.
2 minutes ago off the coast of Tallahassee,
So
Florida.
as you can see,
Dragon Freedom
the
has returned home
around
with NASA astronauts
how do I
Nick
say,
Hague,
the
Sunny Williams,
edge
Boe
area
and
of the sea,
Roscosmos
maybe not
cosmonaut
properly
Aleksandr
correct
Gorbunov.
terms
Back on
for
Earth
me to use
after
it, but
approximately
as you
17
can see,
hours of a
there
return
is
journey from
the
space.
MV
The
Megan.
SpaceX recovery ship
So,
and team
yeah.
have been waiting for Dragon's splashdown, and they will now make their way to the
And
splashdown location.
and for you guys
The
that
teams
actually
have
watch,
been ready and
guys,
waiting
girls,
about
and
3
whatever
nautical miles
whoever
away,
watching my
so it's
video,
going to take them about 30 minutes or
feel free
so to make their way
like this stream
Freedom.
and subscribe to my channel if you want more of this content.
Copy, stable 1. We see the same.
Okay, everyone is stable.
It's going to
Yeah,
take about
because I'm
30
still
minutes for
going
the
to
recovery
stream
team to make
So
their way
pretty
over
much,
to Nick,
how
Sunny,
long
Butch,
is it?
and
So
Alexander,
that's why.
who are still
I mean,
seated and secured
up to you if you really
inside
want to
that
subscribe,
Dragon
but
spacecraft
you
there
you
on
can
your
leave a
screen,
like
doing incredible
and
views there of
even
that
comment.
thermal
Maybe
protection
comment
system,
something
or
on the
TPS.
live chat, or even just
That Dragon capsule was
usual
pristine
usual comment.
white
You can also
color
do it.
before it
Either two is
departed the
fine.
station, and we can see how the reentry phase, the thermal protection
Okay.
system did its job. Now, if you're wondering what that hole, that like bucket
Okay,
area
as you
is,
can see,
that is underneath
they're
the
they're also
side hatch.
they're
That's
also
where
dumping
the main
some good amount
parachutes
of
were stored. So when we saw the
yeah,
Dragon
more.
capsule docked at
It's not
station,
only
it
just
looked very
some
different.
water, could be
The
some
panel that
propellants and what's
protects and
on,
covers
but
the
as long
main
as it's
parachutes,
not
that was
toxic,
still
I guess
intact, as
it's
well
still
as the
fine.
panels
And
that
you can see
enclose
those fleet
where
is
the
coming
drogue parachutes
for
were
them.
located. We
Finally,
can see those
this is the
fastened.
view.
SpaceX is go for recovery personnel to approach. Expect personnel alongside in the next few minutes.
I mean, that's the good thing about this nowadays, because we have drone. Now we can just pinpoint where
We
the
can see
location
those
is,
fast boats. We weren't
and
kidding when we said they were
the
fast. While
boat
it does take about 30 minutes
and
for
and
the main recovery vessel
piloted
to
those
make its
boat,
way over to
or
the
maybe
capsule, these
if
fast
they
boats
use
will
autonomous
be doing a couple of things
the vessel
simultaneously. A couple of them
USV,
are
they
going
also
to be working
can just
to
direct it
retrieve the parachutes. You see in the
directly
background
to
there
that
of this
side. So
drone
maybe
shot, those
this is one of the
parachutes
good things
will be
we
retrieved
have
from
with the
the
modern
ocean
technology.
surface. We want to make
Those
sure
drone, it can
we are
exactly
able to
pinpoint
pull
where.
those out. The recovery vessel there
Yeah.
closest to the
So now,
spacecraft is going
now
to be
they
performing
they are
some
going
safety
to
checks. We can
yeah,
see there
they are
they're
going to
using
do
an instrument
they are
that
doing
is
safety
basically
check right
working to
now.
detect if there are any hypergolic vapors or fumes that are still residing in and or around the Draco thruster nozzles or outlets. The hypergolic fuel, which is necessary for on-orbit burns to maneuver the spacecraft.
And the concept
Unfortunately, those
of
hypergolics
hypergolic, it mentions it,
are
if I remember
unable to
in
be
the
breathed.
nutshell,
They
it
are
actually
toxic.
uses
So this team
it
here is doing
uses
those initial safety
how,
checks to make sure
if I
that it is
remember
safe
correctly, they're
for
using
the rest of the recovery
monomethyl
team to
hydrazine
approach the spacecraft.
with dimethyl
They're also checking to make sure that
with
any residuals
unsymmetrical
from
dimethyl
the
hydrazine. If I
pyros
remember correctly,
are
they're
safe
using
and are not going to
uh,
cause any
mm
issues. We can
hash
see the
slash
team working their way
UDM hash
around the
propellant, if I
spacecraft
remember correctly,
to
or
do these
hash
basically these sniff
slash
tests on all of those Draco
the
thrusters.
dinitrogen tetroxide, if I remember
And
correctly.
as we
Either
continue
of
to
these two
await the
pair.
recovery of our Dragon
And
spacecraft with
when they
NASA
mention about the
astronauts Nick Hague,
hypergolic,
Sunny
with
Williams,
these
Butch Wilmore, and Roscosmos
two
cosmonaut
propellant
Alexander Gorbunov
basically
inside,
in full
Dragon has
contact. Let's say if the
continuously,
fuel and the
already
oxidizer
rather,
in fuel
autonomously
and
completed several
oxidizer
steps
fully
to
in
safe
the
install
contact
following splashdown.
together, it's going
We
to
are
ignite
continuing
by
to
itself.
see
So basically,
Dragon in what is known as
that's in the
stage one
nutshell what is
configuration. That's
hypergolic
kind of the
propellant.
ideal
It's pretty powerful,
configuration
but can be
following
pretty
splashdown.
toxic.
It's
But
upright, and
it
the
depend
Dragon capsule's in the
depending
right
on
configuration for it to
what kind
be
of the
hoisted
propellant,
into the
right?
recovery
It's
vessel
not
Megan,
necessarily
which you do
going to
see a
be
little ways off in
super
your
toxic. It
screen
can be
approaching.
it can
Dragon
also
will continue
pretty
to remain live on
generically
air with you
it can
through that
also
recovery process,
can be
all the way through the
generally
point where
okay too.
the crew is
Let's say for
extracted
example,
from the
even
Dragon
though I can
spacecraft.
say uh,
Now, if you are just
hydrogen
joining us,
peroxide
the mission has
peroxide
gone
is far
smoothly
from
so far. Dragon
far
successfully
far
splashed
from
down
the
off the coast of
less toxic
Tallahassee,
side,
Florida
but I
at
can say in terms
2:57
of
p.m. Pacific,
in terms
5:57
of
p.m. Eastern Time this
toxicity, maybe
afternoon.
slightly better
Approximately
than
17
having
hours prior to
uh,
splashdown, Dragon
than
autonomously undocked from the
having
International
all of
Space
the
Station,
other fuels
completed a series
literally
of
just splash
pressure
down to
burns,
you. At least with
jettisoning
that,
its
you can
trunk
just
section,
splash down with
and
water and
performed
call
its
it a day.
final
But
burn, the deorbit
but
burn.
if either
This
of those
placed the Dragon
other propellants
spacecraft
other
on a
than
trajectory
hydrogen
toward
peroxide
Tallahassee, Florida.
uh,
Dragon successfully
in contact of
re-entered
your
the Earth's
body, and you
atmosphere,
decided to
followed by the deployment of those
use water
parachutes to slow the
uh,
spacecraft down to a
just to wash
gentle
down all of
splashdown.
that acid,
We're
it's
now
still
going
going
to
to be
follow
still pretty
Freedom,
acidic,
hypergol sweeps
and,
and unfired
and
ordnance
it's
checks
not going
are
to be
nominal.
very good
Landing is in
for your
progress.
own body, for your own
Approximately
skin too.
25 minutes until capsule lift. Stand by for PMC with SpaceX Flight Surgeon.
Basically that's the two hardest thing you can do, right? So yeah.
And so what we did just hear there was communications that those hypergol checks were complete. They didn't find any of that upon those checks.
and
So
also they
continue to
mentioned
move
about the
through the timeline. Next up is a
the flight
process called
surgeon, right?
rigging,
Yeah,
which
the
you see
flight surgeon
happening
is
right now on your screen. This is when a
it has
SpaceX
some
recovery
kind of
personnel
role
actually works
in terms
to
of
climb aboard the
in
capsule
terms
and
of
work through
checking
procedures ahead of lifting
and also
onto
looking
the
at the
nest
vital of
of
the
the
crew
recovery vessel Megan. We heard it's going to be about
inside and
25
also
minutes or so
during
until
the
that
mission, right? So
lift actually
flight
takes
surgeon is
place.
also important. And if I remember, flight surgeon also has something to do with the not only about the crew health itself,
Okay, Freedom,
but
the next
also the
call will be
spacecraft
from
health.
SpaceX Flight
If I
Surgeon
remember
on Dragon and Ground Private.
that's also one of the task job for the flight surgeon in the flight mission, right? When they are going to check and what's on. So that's
Callers,
it.
they're indicating that the crew will have the opportunity to do a quick check-in with the SpaceX flight surgeon.
Mm.
This is standard procedure for every Dragon
Okay,
spacecraft
and now they are
when it
safe
returns
to approach
to
right now.
when it
So
returns to
basically,
Earth.
there's
It's just an initial check-in, make sure everybody is
substantial
doing
amount of
okay. They will also have another check-in with
how do I say
the flight surgeon
hypergolic
once they are
leftover
on
anymore
board that recovery
of the
vessel
Draco
you see there
thruster.
in the
Basically, the
background.
thruster to
You can now
also
see
not
that
only
SpaceX
to adjust
recovery
the not
recovery
only
team
as RCS,
member
basically with
there
reaction
on
control
top of the
system,
Dragon
but also
spacecraft. They
can
are
also
going to be
works as
working
the
to install
slowdown
plugs in the
of the
generator
vehicle itself.
thrusters
So
to make sure
basically,
that
it
none of those
oh
and to ensure
okay,
that no more
it froze
hypergolic
a little bit
fumes or
for the
vapors
shot, but
come out
fortunately
from the
others it's
spacecraft. They'll
still
also
working.
place harnessing around the spacecraft
Yeah.
that are required
Yeah, no
in
more
order to
hyperglyph
lift it out of the water.
fumes or even the vapor itself around the area.
As,
So
go ahead,
looking
Sam.
good.
Continuing to get some views of the recovery personnel, both the main recovery vessel Megan, as well as some of those fast boats that we've discussed previously. It looks like just a beautiful day there out off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida. Weather was pristine. We were able to get undocked from the International Space Station as expected at 10:05 p.m. Pacific time yesterday evening, and Crew Dragon has since completed steps ahead of its splashdown at 2:57 p.m. Pacific, and we're now stepping through procedures to get Dragon hoisted up onto the Megan recovery vessel and get the crew extracted out of the spacecraft.
Mhm. And then once the
Some of the
crew
parachutes
finally
that were
safe left
near
there,
the spacecraft. Upon
I think I
detection
can
of landing,
also
Dragon
end the
automatically
stream.
releases those main parachutes to prevent wind from
Need to get
pulling the
some sleep
spacecraft.
again.
Dragon then automatically safes any pyrotechnics that may still be present on the vehicle and may automatically perform additional minor system reconfigurations. The astronauts will remain seated and in their suits at this point, but the onboard air conditioning keeps things temperature controlled inside the spacecraft so the crew remains comfortable, and the communication systems.
Freedom, SpaceX, ComCheck.
SpaceX, this is Freedom. Yeah, loud and clear.
Copy that, Freedom. Have you loud and clear as well, and Dragon to Ground is no longer private.
Understand, thank you.
Okay, so right now the communication
As
is
we
no longer
saw
private,
there on
so
the screen,
so
we
basically
have a couple
obviously
of fast boats
we are going
in
to
the
be
recovery fleet that have
we are going to
moved
hear
into
what they are
the
going to say,
splashdown
of course. So
location.
they need to be
They
very
will be
careful
followed
before
by
what they are
one of the
saying.
main recovery vessels, which will
We are
move into
hearing, of course,
position upwind of the
as the public.
spacecraft. The two fast boats have very specific roles. Excuse me. The first approach is focused on immediate safety inspection, as we saw. They do this for spacecraft integrity and checking for any presence of those hypergolic propellant vapors. And this ensures that it is safe for the recovery vessel to approach Dragon. Once Dragon is cleared for full approach, as we heard is the case today, the team begins rigging the spacecraft for
Yeah.
water recovery by the recovery ship. The second fast boat is responsible for parachute recovery and also serves as a redundant boat to the first one that makes the initial approach to the Dragon spacecraft. As we saw a little bit earlier, we were also able to see one of the recovery team members get on a jet ski to help gather up the parachutes that were automatically detached from the Dragon spacecraft upon splashdown.
And it will take a little over 10 minutes for the recovery crew to complete their safety checks.
Okay.
Once complete, the team will begin preparing Dragon to be lifted. And as you see, they are preparing for that to take place at this point. As part of the preparation for this lift, one member of the recovery team has climbed on top of the spacecraft already so they can attach Dragon's hoist rings and connect to the lifting lines. It will take us less than an hour to raise Dragon to the recovery boat and remove the crew from the spacecraft. After medical checkouts, the crew will return to land within 4 hours by helicopter. And if no additional medical assistance is needed, the crew will board a waiting NASA plane and depart for Houston.
So that's what we hear. It's going to have 10 minutes of safety check. After that, another 1 hour for it to be uh, hoisted to the recovery vessel MV Megan, and after that, another 4 hours after that, it's going to be it's going to be all about medical checkup and what's on. So basically, that's in a nutshell, I guess. So let's see. What do we do next?
And as we continue to await Dragon to be hoisted up onto the ship, we have a very special treat. NASA Public Affairs Officer Jaden Jennings, who is actually on the recovery vessel and had a bird's eye view of the splashdown today. Jaden, how are you? How was the view from the recovery vessel?
Okay, so let's hear from the man himself or herself.
I've got you loud and clear, Jaden. It's so
Okay,
great to
okay.
hear you.
Let's hear from the herself, from the woman herself. Let's see.
Be advised, we are transitioning the forward link. Comm will be unavailable for approximately 5 minutes.
Freedom compass.
Thanks so much, Jaden. We did just have some communications letting us know that we'll have about a 5-minute period where we won't be able to hear from the crew. So please go ahead, tell us, how was the view from the recovery vessel?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was mentioning earlier, splashdown was nothing short of spectacular. And we were stationed about 1.5 nautical miles away from the splashdown zone and had great visuals here on the recovery vessel Megan. We actually saw a little of the smoke trail as the spacecraft was coming in. And then moments later, we spotted those drogue chutes, and this was quickly followed by 4 healthy white and orange main parachutes. We then tracked Dragon all the way down as it slowly propelled into the ocean. And I think I speak for all of us on the ship when I say a new core memory was made today, and we are looking forward to having Crew-9 on board with us a little later.
Jaden, that is amazing. Now, obviously, we are watching it here on camera, and the landing conditions look pretty good, but how was it from your perspective?
Good,
what is
of
the
course.
sea state out there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've had optimal conditions for splashdown, and today it is sunny and 63 degrees outside right now with clear skies.
How do we proceed from now?
And calm seas.
Because
the sea
I think
looks absolutely beautiful right now.
I think it's
and light blue with the sun
going to take a
reflecting from
little
it. And
of time.
yeah, I think the crew's gonna like what they feel weather-wise on this picture-perfect day for splashdown off the coast of Tallahassee.
Thanks so much, Jaden. It certainly looks like a beautiful day. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey of the recovery forces to get to this point?
Sure. So one unique aspect of this recovery was the onboard training on
Yeah.
station conducted for Butch and Suni to ensure they were ready to return on a Dragon spacecraft. That training covered all aspects of their return, including nominal and contingency departures, deorbit burns, splashdown, and post-landing ops, which is what this team is preparing for now. As for the recovery teams themselves, we started the day taking a series of helicopters out to the vessel. And as standard, the recovery director and crew support teams were on that first helicopter out and took the time to get everything prepared on the ship. About 2 hours before splashdown, they deployed those fast boats and jet skis into the water. I was actually on the second helicopter out, and we were on the vessel about an hour and a half before splashdown and landed on top of the helicopter pad on the Megan. And the teams have been working diligently across their respective disciplines this week, executing what can only be described, in my point of view, as a logistical masterpiece, just ensuring every detail has been in place for Crew-9's return.
Yeah, of course.
That is such great news. I'm so glad that you're able there to experience it in person. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what's next to retrieve the crew for the recovery personnel on board?
Yeah, Kate. So coming up next, Dragon will be hoisted into the on-deck translation system, or the nest, at the aft end of the ship, and then will be translated pretty quickly towards that egress platform. We'll perform another series of safety checks as final precautionary measures just to make sure there are
Yeah,
no
just in
hypergonic
case.
vapors present before opening that side hatch. And then once that side hatch of the spacecraft is open, the crew will be assisted out of the capsule one by one from NASA and SpaceX.
Freedom, SpaceX, com check.
Okay, another com check by the Mission Control Center to the Dragon.
Thanks,
Okay.
Nick. I've got you loud and clear as well. We have completed our forward link transition.
All right. After that, around few minutes from now, they will be hoisted to the recovery vessel itself, and then after that, for another hour, they will also do another safety check to ensure everything is fine. And then after that, only then the crew itself can go out from from the capsule, and then for and then afterward, from what I remember, another next 4 hours after that, it's going to be
Absolutely
they are going
unbeatable. So
to
just to kind of finish off what I was
undergo
saying is once that
medical
side hatch of
checkup,
the
just in
spacecraft
case
is
anything,
open,
you
the
know.
crew will be assisted out of the capsule one by one from NASA and SpaceX medical personnel, where they will then head to the med bay. And after those medical checks, they will get on that first helicopter out and arrive at the airport, where they will then board a NASA plane and then head back to Houston, Texas at the Johnson Space Center to begin their post-flight period. And we're eager to see the Crew-9 astronauts back on Earth, and we'll keep you updated on every moment of this process. With that, I'll toss it back over to you guys in Hawthorne.
All right.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much. That was Jaden Jennings,
looking
NASA
pretty
Public
good.
Affairs Officer, who watched Freedom splash down firsthand from the recovery vessel. Megan, thanks so much, Jaden.
Yeah.
So we are continuing to get these great views on our screen here of Freedom.
So
As
this
we
is the
mentioned,
view.
splash down at
As you can
2:57
see,
p.m. Pacific
it's
time
pretty
off
nice
the coast of
looking out
Tallahassee,
there.
Florida. The recovery personnel are
Blue
continuing
sky,
to step
the
through
ocean,
procedures
and
to
now
hoist Dragon onto the recovery vessel
everyone is
Megan
safe.
there, which is now coming into
As
view.
far
You
as
can
I
see
knew,
just how close Megan is at
from
this
this
point.
initial
And that's
view,
that helicopter
and they're
pad that
looking pretty
Jaden was
nice.
just discussing,
And for you
where
guys that
the crew
actually
will
still
fly
watching this
off of
stream,
onto the
feel free
airport in
to
Florida,
hit
and then
like of this
eventually
stream
they'll fly
if
back
you
to
do
Houston.
Just underneath that
enjoy this
helicopter
stream.
pad is that
And also if you want
translation deck where we will see the
and if you
nest once
don't
it
mind,
is
you
loaded
want
up
to
with
look
the
forward
Dragon
to
spacecraft
my other
on
stream,
board.
and maybe even
The
my
nest will be
some
translated
of my
to the
other
forward
videos,
end of the recovery
you can also
vessel,
hit
and that is
subscribe button.
where
You know,
our
it's free.
Crew-9
It's
team members
not that
will
even
egress
expensive. You just
from the
click
Dragon
subscribe. That's it.
spacecraft. Now, here on your screen, we can see
And yeah,
dolphins, actually,
and also don't forget,
who
if you
want to
want to
come and
comment,
play
you want to say
with
anything in
Dragon.
the live
Now,
chat,
one of the
say anything.
fast boats there in place, working
Because I
to
would like to
assist
chat
the
sometimes.
recovery team member. It's incredible. I just love these views. We really see them even better in daytime. But just seeing the recovery
Obviously.
team work in tandem to step through each step, to step through each operation. You know, obviously they're getting quick assists from the honorary part of the recovery team, those dolphins in the water there. Now, the recovery team member that is crawling around the Dragon spacecraft. Earlier, we saw a view where it was like a spider monkey pose. We can see that individual now standing in the bucket where the main parachutes were stored while Dragon was on orbit. Obviously, those main parachutes were utilized for splashdown today.
Okay.
They were deployed
And for now,
the Dragon
I
capsule.
don't really have
One of the
anything
fast
much
boats
to
of
say here.
one of the other
Because
fast boats of the recovery team
that's their
working
task
to
anymore.
pull those
That's
out
their
of the
task right
water.
now.
Now, the recovery team
Some things
member
to do.
that is there working on top of the
So
Dragon capsule.
hopefully you don't
Earlier, we
mind.
saw
I'm a
that
bit
person
silent right now.
performing safety checks.
Yeah.
Now we can see some
I'm
harnessing
going to
being
talk
placed
once in a while,
around
don't
the
worry.
capsule. This harnessing is what
And I'm
will
still
be
here.
used to lift the Dragon capsule out of the water and onto the recovery vessel. Wow, we got a cute little pod of dolphins. It wasn't just one or two.
I mean, that water just looks beautiful. We had ideal splashdown parameters today. Obviously, wave height, ne'er a concern. The weather is beautiful, as Jaden mentioned, in the 60s, sunny. Looking forward to seeing Crew-9 exit the capsule here shortly once they get hoisted onto the recovery vessel Megan.
All
You
right.
can see that
Looks like,
recovery vessel slowly
yeah,
but surely closing the distance
of course,
there
as you can see.
between, oh, dolphin cam back again.
Oh, so there's actually
We can
dolphin there.
see that
Wow,
the Dragon
interesting,
capsule and the
interesting
recovery
view.
vessel, that distance
And
is
also you can see
closing.
the
Again, this is
recovery
just one
vessel,
more
and
step
the
as
Megan
we
is now
continue to
approaching
work recovery
slowly
operations
to
for
the Crew
Dragon
Dragon, of
Freedom.
course.
And we anticipate
Oh, nice view
the
actually.
lift of the Dragon capsule to
I
occur
don't think
here in
I'm
just
even
a few minutes.
I don't think I'm
Once
regretting my
all of the
decision to still
rigging
continue
is
this
on the
stream.
capsule and it's
It's
hooked
a
up
bit boring
to the
if
recovery
I
vessel,
just
we will see the
end stream like
hydraulic
that.
arm, which is that kind
Slightly
of like
boring.
bridge-like
So
structure
let's not do
there at
that.
the aft
Oh,
end
looks
of
like
the recovery vessel. We'll see that articulate
okay.
backwards, and
Okay, looks like
that's a good
it's
sign that
already been
we're getting even closer
the Crew
to
Dragon.
pulling the capsule out of the
Yeah,
water. It will
already
then
hooking.
move forward,
Yeah,
and
so looks like the
the
recovery
capsule will be
vessel
placed inside of
has
what you
already
can see
hooked that
there
Crew
is
Dragon
basically a basket. We call it the nest,
with the, let's
Dragon
just say,
nest, where that's where the capsule
has already
will be
connected
placed
with
in order
the line
for it
right
to be
now.
translated
Okay,
to the forward
that's
end
interesting.
of the
Let's
vessel
go.
and
Let's
for
see.
the astronauts to egress.
And before that does take place, we'll have potentially views of the rigger go ahead and jump off of the spacecraft there.
That typically occurs when the spacecraft is a little bit closer to the recovery vessel, and we usually get a really good view of that particular operation from one of the onboard cameras from the recovery vessel. That is an operation that I
Looking
have a lot
pretty
of
good.
respect and admiration for that individual that
And then
that does that.
after they finally properly bring that back to
So again, Dragon
the vessel, they are going to do another final safety check to see if there's anything happens, to ensure that all of that pyrotechnics and all of the instrumentation has already been, let's just say, turned off safely. After it's properly turned off safely,
p.m. Pacific
everything
time
is
with NASA
nominal,
astronauts Nick
then
Hague,
only then
Butch Wilmore, Sunny Williams, and
crew
Roscosmos
can
cosmonaut
now
Aleksandr Gorbunov.
go out
They're
from
now
the
working
capsule,
through procedures
and
to
finally
hoist this
will go for
spacecraft
the
up onto the recovery vessel Megan.
checkup, of course.
We
So
just saw that
that's the
hydraulic
procedure in
arm
a
get
nutshell for
lowered
you guys
into
still
the
new
lifting
and still
position.
coming up
That arm
coming
will
to the
be the
stream.
mechanism
Yeah, so
that is
welcome.
utilized
That's
to lift
basically
the Dragon up
what we
and out of the
happen
water
next.
and into the nest located there at the aft end of the recovery vessel.
And the recovery vessel being used today is, as we mentioned multiple times, is named Megan, but that's actually after NASA astronaut Megan McArthur, who flew on Crew-2 a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so that's how MV Megan were named, based on that
We're getting some views
NASA
now
astronaut
from actually
Megan McArthur.
inside
So
the
that's
boat.
it. So you got
You're exactly right.
so now
This view
the story
is
how.
straight down the recovery vessel. That platform that was closest to the camera, that is the egress platform.
Freedom. Rigging is almost complete. Approximately 5 minutes until capsule lift.
Okay.
Views there from SpaceX Crew.
Okay.
So about 5 minutes left until we see Dragon Freedom get lifted out of the water.
Yeah, after they've lifted out to the water,
arm,
then they will be then they are properly will be going inside the ship itself, and after that should be a little bit of final check, and maybe after the final check, or maybe there isn't.
Dragon Freedom being lifted.
Okay, and now they've already lifted. Okay, it's not even 5 minutes, and they've already did it. And you can see there is like the holder, right? You can see those capsule holder. So that's how they are going to hold the Crew Dragon Freedom spacecraft here. Okay, so that's how it looks. All right.
Welcome aboard the recovery vessel.
Yeah,
recovery
finally.
Personnel are completing final checks and stand by for translation to the egress platform.
Okay, translation to the egress platform. All right.
Great news there, letting us know that Dragon Freedom has been successfully recovered from the water's surface.
Yeah, already recovered from the water, and they will now properly place it to the egress platform. As you can see, the looks like it holds something, right? So that's basically the egress holder.
The nest where the Dragon spacecraft
Yeah.
is located is going to get moved forward. This will happen after one of the recovery crew members does some checks, and we'll also see some hosing. Obviously, the spacecraft splashed down in salt water. Salt water is corrosive.
Yeah.
And we want to try and rinse out as much of the salt water as possible to reduce that corrosion on the metallic structures.
Yeah,
So
because like they said, it's because the seawater is pretty corrosive. It contains a lot of predominantly sodium chloride, basically the same kind of compound that you have for your salt, right? Yeah, and also some part of potassium chloride and also other materials. And because they want to neutralize, let's just say sort of like neutralize the elements of the seawater.
So they are working on repositioning the capsule in the nest now.
Yeah, of the seawater. So they basically will just splash down the. They're going to splash all of that capsule spacecraft down with fresh water, of course, with basically fresh water. Yeah, that's in a nutshell what they're going to do.
While Dragon does fly itself autonomously, it clearly is unable to park itself autonomously. We want to make sure that the Dragon capsule is properly seated there in that nest.
Okay, so so it actually calls nest. Okay, let's just say we're going to call that folder from now on a nest.
Is fully seated in the nest.
Nice.
We'll probably see a bunch of that salt water come out from the bucket there located underneath the side hatch.
Oh yeah.
See some salt water splash out. As I mentioned before, one of the recovery team members will begin hosing down the exterior of the spacecraft.
Yeah. Okay. Right now they are hosing down those seawater, basically the salty water of it.
Which includes NASA astronauts
That's now they are that's what they are doing right now.
Roscosmos Aleksandr Gorbunov.
Even if you can see slight hint of that post water, the fresh water, you can see that's what they're doing.
Now working to get that spacecraft situated in the nest.
Okay.
Just making some final adjustments and tweaks to ensure that it's nice and secure.
Some minor adjustment and tweaks, so it can properly fit in inside the nest, of course. All right.
Once the spacecraft is seated and secured and oriented correctly in the nest, Dragon will be moved into the hangar located underneath that helipad that we saw earlier from the aerial views during recovery.
I see.
All right, Freedom, looks like you are settled into the nest now. Team is working through hypergol sweeps.
Okay. So basically after that, it will also lifted to the sort of like the helicopter platform. Let's just simplify it. We're going to call it helicopter platform, even though it's not really a helicopter platform. They're going to put that capsule going up. If my understanding is correct, that's what they're going to do.
The spacecraft is translated forward. So we're just doing some additional steps to make sure that the hypergolic propellant that is utilized for maneuvering the Dragon capsule while on orbit, making sure that none of those vapors are still present on the exterior of the capsule.
Yeah, and another final check of the nozzle.
And there are are a
yeah, of
variety
the
of
nozzle of the
individuals
uh,
on board the boat that
of
help with
of the
recovery operations. Not
Draco
only do we have the recovery
thruster.
personnel that
They
you
want
see
to ensure
here, but we also
it's
have a
finally
doctor that will
mostly free
check out the crew members,
from the
standard
hypergolic
procedure.
vapor,
As
or
with any
even
spacecraft
the
that is
fuel
returning
traces
from
of
space, we always perform a
or
medical
even the
check
fume.
with the
So
crew.
they
So
are
you will
going
see
to
the
check
crew come out of the capsule
outside of
and be
the
placed on
they are
stretchers,
going to check
just like
everything
with the
outside the
Soyuz
spacecraft, make sure
landing. And
everything is
with
fine.
all of our Dragon
And
splashdowns,
if
that is
there's
the
any
nominal
some
procedure.
hypergolic fuels traces, or maybe even fuel vapor fumes, they're going to remove it, probably by hosing down using
We'll
the
stand
water,
by to
as it
see
also
Dragon
uh,
Freedom translate. We'll
let's just say
scooch up a little bit closer
so
to
looper,
the camera angle that you're
even
seeing right here.
though
And then
this is
teams
not
will step through
what I can say,
procedures
but
to get
let's just
that
say
side hatch
at least it
open.
can be
So
hosed
right
down
in the
using
dead of
water,
center of your
can be
screen there, it's kind of
soluble
that
inside
rectangular
the water
shape.
of it.
It has not been
So yeah,
opened since the
that's what they're doing.
Crew-9, which include Nick Hague and Aleksandr Gorbunov,
Yeah,
launched back in September from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So that will be the very first time that hatch is opened. Once docked to the International Space Station, crew enter through the top hatch, which was where the nose cone is now closed. That's the hatch that they actually utilize to go ahead and get inside the International Space Station.
yeah.
So as we get a little closer to that hatch opening procedure, you might start to see more individuals come into frame for some
All
of that
right.
support.
So
The
basically,
ship
before
has a
they actually
maximum
put
capacity of a little over 40 people
spacecraft,
on
the
board,
space
and it
capsule,
takes a variety of
to
vehicles, as
the
we discussed,
sort of like the helicopter
to
platform,
support. Also on
they are
board
going
is the
they
chief
are
of the
going to
astronaut office for NASA. That's Joe Okada.
everyone inside the capsule out. So basically, we hear that hatch opening. That's what they're going to do. Going to pull everyone everyone, basically every astronaut inside the spacecraft, inside the capsule. They're going to pull it out. So everyone. So finally, they will be able to
Meanwhile,
do
we
some medical
are
checkup
standing by for
and
translation
whatnot.
of the
That's
Dragon
that's it.
spacecraft
That's
to
basically it.
the
The nutshell.
platform there, the recovery platform that we see in the foreground. It is important to note that Nick, Suni, Butch, and Alexander will be getting assistance from the recovery teams while exiting the spacecraft. This is the same process for any returning long-duration crew members. As you could imagine, returning to a gravity environment can wreak havoc on our vestibular system, which is responsible for maintaining balance and motion.
Yeah,
Of course,
because
safety is our
you
number
need to
one
remember,
priority with this operation. So
because in space the
we'll
gravity is
see the
basically
crew members
little
helped
to
out of the
no
spacecraft one by
gravity
one,
at
and
all.
they will be assisted
So
the few feet to the
vestibular
medical quarters aboard the
vestibular
boat.
functions is going to be
And onboard
pretty
Dragon
not
are
good
three
for your body.
veterans space
You
flyers.
you
That
have been
includes
in this
Nick Hague,
space
the
for long,
commander,
so
as well
that's
as Butch,
basically
Wilmore, and
what
Sunita
happened.
Lyn.
So they
Alexander
need to do
Gorbunov is completing his
some
very
more medical
first
check up,
space flight on this mission. He completed 171 days in space along with Nick Hague.
For those of you that have just recently joined us, well, I would encourage you to hit that rewind button and go back a few minutes. It was a beautiful splashdown of Dragon Freedom with the Crew-9 cohort on board. They had an on-time splashdown at 5:57 p.m.
Yeah, and
Eastern
also I
time,
recommend that
2:57 p.m.
just
Pacific
similar to
time.
the
We can see that
the
the
announcer.
spacecraft.
Freedom translation is
If you're still new, feel free to go rewind. Feel free to go and rewind back this stream because it's
We can
nice,
see
you know.
that spacecraft was successfully
Do it.
recovered from the ocean surface and is now being washed with
Okay,
fresh water.
as you can see, it's
Obviously
now
they splashed
washed
out
and
salt
hosed
water,
down
so
with
we're trying to
the
rinse off
fresh
as much
water.
of
You
that
can see.
salt water as possible, and we can see the spacecraft continuing to move closer and closer to that recovery deck.
Freedom, the crew is working on side hatch opening now. Expect hatch open in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, so that's it. Okay, 2 minutes after 2 minutes, and we are going to see hatch open. Then hatch open, we shall see those astronaut and also cosmonaut will
Thanks, Nick.
going
It's been an honor.
outside, and everyone
This is
will
a pretty
have some
exciting
days there
moment coming up. We
and
are
going to
working
have some
to
to do some
open the
medical
side hatch.
check up
But
and see if
one thing
everyone
that
is
may
safe.
not be obvious from just looking at the spacecraft here is that this side hatch that we're about to open, the last time it was open was when this spacecraft was at the launch pad. This side hatch is what is used for initial capsule ingress and final capsule egress,
Yeah.
but all comings and goings from the spacecraft while it is on board the space station are from the forward hatch, which is located at the top of the spacecraft under that nose cone. So this is a pretty exciting moment because it will be the crew's first breath of fresh air since boarding their ships at the start of their journeys last year.
Yeah, so that's it.
And the very
That's
first
it.
person that will have the opportunity to say hello to the crew once that hatch is open is a SpaceX medical recovery personnel representative.
Obviously, that's why I said they're going
Then
to
we'll see
do some medical
procedures
checkup
take
too.
place to remove
Mm.
to remove the footrests of Dragon. That will just help the recovery personnel get a little bit more room to access the crew and help get them out of the spacecraft.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Safety is once again top priority
Okay,
here.
looks like
removing those
hatch.
footrests from all 4 seats
Okay.
will be helpful as a recovery. As a
Looks
SpaceX
like
recovery
right
team
now
member will actually go
here we go.
into the
Hatch
capsule,
opening in progress.
excuse me, into Dragon Freedom to help the crew members unbuckle and stand up, and essentially we'll also see a fun little slide be put in place to help the crew members exit the spacecraft safely. So yeah, we're gonna remove all 4 of those footrests to basically give a little bit more working room inside the spacecraft.
Yeah.
That's right, and we did hear the go for that hatch opening, so we're just a couple minutes away from being able to see that.
And
and we might be able to get a chance to see a couple of views inside of the Dragon and see the crew following their splashdown.
Let's see.
Now, opening that side hatch isn't quite like opening, the door
it's a
to your
little
car.
bit sleepy
You have
for
to
me,
depress the
so I need to
seal
go.
around
So maybe
the
I
side
need to
hatch,
have
as well
let's
as
sleep
we'll
again
now
right
see
now.
them
You know.
open that side hatch up.
And if I remember correctly, tomorrow around 1 plus p.m. around my time, also there's going to be, how do I say, there's also going to be, yeah, you can see here we go, the
And
hatch
there
has
you have
already
it. The side
open.
hatch is open for the first time since September.
Yeah, if I remember the CRS cargo, if I remember correctly, will also depart away from the ISS, and after that it will be entered back to Earth after quite some point.
Equipment there
So
that was brought into frame.
so I will
help
try to stream that too. And after that at some point, that's it. That's it from me for this week.
There,
You know.
photos of the side
Okay.
hatch seal. This is part of the standard operation
Yeah.
for recovery.
So this is the
These photos
seal.
will get saved into our
Typical
procedure.
SOP. So for documentation purposes, that's
We'll
why.
then install that protective frame around the side hatch. This
Oh.
helps to ensure that the side hatch itself, the edges of it incur no damage while crew members are coming out from the spacecraft.
Yeah, of course, because they want to ensure everything looks secure, right?
If you missed it,
I mean, if
there
anything,
was also a recovery team member that went inside.
I mean, if anything's happened, at
So
least
there are now 5 people,
protective
on
panel
board
will just
the Dragon
handle
spacecraft.
the brunt of the. Let's say if crew decided to just contact whatever is it, right? At least they're still fine. You know. So that's why they need to install those protective panels, protect those edges. You know.
And if
Because
you are
especially
just joining us, it has not yet even been an hour since Crew-9 splashed down. off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida at 2:57 p.m. Pacific time.
Oh, so
The crew
that's
is
how it
now
looks
on
like.
board the recovery vessel Megan, and the hatch
As you can
is
see, that's
open.
why.
The next major
And
milestone that we'll
thanks
see
to the
is when
fact
a
that
crew will
that
actually
the
egress or
how do we
exit
say
the spacecraft.
thanks
But
to the
before
fact
that,
that
they'll continue to, the
uh
recovery personnel rather will continue to install
that
that
the re-entry shield
protective
basically does its
area
job,
around the
as you
hatch
can
and then
see,
remove
instead
the
of actually
footrests.
burning
So we're a couple minutes away from seeing
burning
the
it
crew
down, and
egress, but not
so
too long away.
and basically it becomes not really good story. Now you can see everyone is safe, and the only things that it mostly just burn is
We'll
only
see
the
those
re-entry shield.
footrests being handed out here
Yeah,
in
it's
the
ablative
future, as I mentioned
that's
before.
why that's the purpose.
Of
Become
course, we've got
ablative
to get a
material. Just become like
well-documented photo
sort of
of the
like the
moment.
sacrifice material for the
Although we
for the
can't see it from
atmosphere,
here,
for the
I'm
sweet
pretty
sweet
sure there
atmosphere
are
plasma to
4
just see,
smiles
you
on
know.
board right
But at
now.
least most of them
And we did hear
safe,
that
you
report
know.
out from
That's the reason
Commander
why.
Nick Hague following splashdown that there were four smiles as far as he could see.
Yeah, capsule full of grins. Now, generally speaking,
Okay. And this
there
is
we
how
do
they
see
look like.
Crew-9, some happy waves,
Yay!
smiles all around back on Earth.
Yay! Safe there. And upcoming next will be crew egress. And they will be going out from the capsule,
generally
and
speaking,
everyone will be safe. Let's see.
we have the individuals in the 2 center seats of the spacecraft exit first. You might hear us refer to this as the exit process as egress. It's just another term for exiting the spacecraft. Generally speaking, we most of the time have the 2 center seats egress first, as it makes moving around inside the capsule a little bit easier.
Yeah. Let's see.
We can see the tablets that were previously located on the upper leg of the crew members. We can see those being handed out to the recovery team. Those were taken off prior to the entry phase, to spacecraft reentry. Those had to be stored and secured.
Yeah, obviously.
Prior to dynamic operations.
It looks like we are starting to see the footrests also be removed. I just saw one there on the screen.
Yeah,
Four,
footrest.
of course, one for each crew
This is
member.
no longer needed. This is only useful for the duration of the flight. Of course, you can see those big stuff there. That's the footrest.
Those footrests are made out of carbon fiber and are actually sized appropriately for each crew member, as everybody has different measurements and different leg lengths.
Oh.
Same goes for the armrests and the bucket length of each seat.
Interesting.
We size those appropriately for the crew members and to ensure their comfort and safety. I believe we just saw the little ramp that is used to help slide the crew members out from inside the spacecraft.
And once the crew does exit Dragon Freedom, they will be placed on
as you can see, what they placed that little ramp inside that there, that's basically to help the crew to finally get out from the spacecraft. Of course.
As well as for our Soyuz spacecraft that land in Kazakhstan.
Yeah. Yeah. See.
We could see the exterior of Dragon Freedom quite clearly in this shot, and it's such a beautiful sight. I personally prefer the capsule when it has some of that charring from atmospheric reentry. It is the signature sign of a capsule that has returned to Earth.
Continuing to stand by for our first crew member to egress or exit for
Yeah,
Dragon Freedom following
egress
their
basically
splashdown
exit.
at 2:57
That's what they
p.m.
mean.
Pacific time. Dragon undocked from the International Space Station at 10:05 p.m. Pacific just yesterday, so it was about 17 hours
So
of
you
phasing.
can say, refer to my previous stream. I will looks like I need to provide the link too. So yeah.
And while on board the International Space Station, Crew-9 contributed to 900 hours of science, over
Yeah, that's
150
pretty long.
research experiments and investigations, making great use of the microgravity lab of the International Space Station, which celebrates 25 years of continuous human presence this November.
Wow, 25 years? Wow, this November. Wow, that's pretty long there.
Looks like we're about to get our first
Since
crew member
the year of
here,
2000, huh?
upon egress of the Dragon
Yeah,
spacecraft.
International Space Station is pretty old by this point. And if I remember, it would be replaced with the commercial space station CSS, if I remember correctly. That's going to be a successor version of the ISS. That's already been long going since like what? Since the construction starts around 1995, 96, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's pretty long time. And then they finally probably just go full time with the human crew since November 2000. 2000. Okay, like what they say. It's interesting. And let's see.
We can see folks on board clapping as our first crew member.
Okay. As you can see that
NASA astronaut Nick Hague.
Yeah, this is Nick Hague. So you can see this is so you can see this is how he looks like.
Thumbs up,
yeah,
wave. Can't get any better than that.
Yeah,
and he's in this stretch right now because
as we said before, it is standard procedure for
due to muscle. Let's just say due to muscle weakening and what's on as a result of prolonged space environment exposure with microgravity to little to no gravity condition at all. That's the reason why you can see he cannot stand up, so he has to be brought back in using those stretchers, you know. So you can see why. Yeah, guys.
And we are standing by for the next crew member to exit Freedom.
Okay, standing by for the next crew after Nick Hague. So let's see who's going to be next. Cast your vote, guys. Maybe. Cast your vote. Let's do this.
Next up out of the capsule, we expect Roscosmos cosmonaut Aleksandr Gorbunov.
Okay, to be Aleksandr Gorbunov. Let's see. From Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, of course.
Cheers and clapping on board.
Okay, so let's see.
Alexander is
looks like it.
Down the little ramp and placed into the mobility aid.
Yeah. Oh, apparently mobility aid, but I'm still going to call it stretch. You know, let's just call it mobility stretch aid. It's another word. Okay, so this is Aleksandr Gorbunov. He's already completing his first space flight, so now he's the real. He has already done his job as
Williams and Butch Wilmore.
As cosmonaut, and maybe will be fly again anytime if there is any request. Maybe if he wants to volunteer himself to other missions, maybe he will be going again anytime soon. But we'll see. And this is okay. We are going to see who's going to go out. Either of these two. It's either Sunita Williams or Butch Wilmore. So let's see who's going out. Cast your vote, guys. Cast your vote. Cast your vote.
Like to have them egress
Yeah,
first
we're
if
gonna do some
possible,
voting
creates a
or
little
some
bit more
poll. I don't know.
movable
Yeah, I don't.
room
Just kidding about it.
inside the
But
spacecraft. There is a recovery crew
but
member
if you
inside
do you
that's
have any
helping all
comment?
of
Yeah,
our
just comment
all of our
who's
Crew-9
who's going out
egress exits
outside
from the spacecraft.
who's going to egress or exit all of the spacecraft. Who's going to be next here? It's either Sunita or Butch. We'll see. Cast your vote, guys.
We are standing by for the next crew member to egress or exit Crew Dragon Freedom following the splashdown not even an hour ago at 2:57 p.m. Pacific time. Really have the recovery operations down pretty quick at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to think that, just 5 years ago when we were doing the initial demonstration missions of the Dragon for Crew Dragon, that now we're under about 30 minutes for, to retrieve the spacecraft from the water, and just several minutes here while it's been on board and to get everyone, really to get that side hatch open. For those of you that have just recently joined, the Dragon had an on-time splashdown.
Okay, so
crew member here,
yeah, Sunita Williams, welcome back home. Welcome back home.
She, like her other crew members,
welcome back home, stranded astronauts. Welcome back. we are happy to see them again. So now Sunita Williams has already gone out, and now all that left is
there we have it, some waves,
Butch Wilmore. So hello Sunita, hello.
Definitely seems to be a theme among all recovery operations.
I mean, at least everyone is happier now.
Oh, and of course, that leaves NASA astronaut Butch Wilmore inside Dragon in seat 4.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, so this is Butch Wilmore.
We're getting some views of him now as he egresses or exits the spacecraft.
Okay, so now everyone is out, and welcome back home, Butch Wilmore. Welcome back.
Once again,
welcome back. Every stranded astronaut is finished. Therefore, now everyone is out. Medical check-up is now done, and yes, everyone is clapping. Everyone looks happy right now with the positive. So yeah, welcome back home. And I hope this time no more those clickbait article by them, because I'm tired. But yeah, at least everyone is safe, including those stranded astronauts. Yeah, so
so to speak. Now that Nick, Butch, Suni, and Alexander are safely back home on Earth and getting checked out by the NASA medical team, we're going to wrap up our live coverage.
Yeah, looks like they are going to end the stream.
Began a little differently than usual since Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams were already aboard the space
it's
station.
within my
Hague and Aleksandr
stream
Gorbunov
expectation time, I can say, because I do have this budget up until at least my local time will be up until 7 a.m. Looks good.
and began research
Looks good.
and
We
other
still
work
have
aboard the station,
surplus time
along
of
with the other
4 minutes
crew members.
plus, but yeah,
Williams
it's
commanded
good.
the
It's
orbiting
good.
laboratory for
That's
much
why
of the
that,
expedition.
that's why
After a successful
that's why I
liftoff
need to
and
tell you something.
separation
If
from
you
Falcon
can
9,
go sleep
Nick and
before the
Alexander made
stream,
a short
please go
flight
sleep.
on board
Have
Dragon
some
to the
enough sleep.
International
But
Space
in my
Station.
case, because
Veterans of
it's not even
long-duration
how
space
many
station missions,
how
both
many enough
Williams and Wilmore
hours,
conducted
so I need
spacewalks
to
during
sleep
their 9
another
months in
more,
space. Like all crews on
slightly
the
another more.
station,
But
Crew-9
yeah, I'm
had the
still
ability to leave
still
at any
happy.
point had there
Everyone
been an
is good,
emergency. With their
and I can
full-duration
make
mission coming to
you
an
guys
end,
the
the crew
viewer
began
here.
packing up their personal items for their return to Earth about a week ago and worked through tasks and shared lessons learned with Crew 10 teams as they arrived a few days ago.
Their journey home began about 17 hours ago when they closed the forward hatch to Dragon and undocked from the space station at 10:05 p.m. Pacific, 1:05 a.m. Eastern. After 4 successful departure burns and a phasing burn to line up their orbit, Nick, Butch, Suni, and Alexander rested for a few hours before waking up to prepare for re-entry this morning. We jettisoned Dragon's trunk and performed
Yeah,
our
so that's
final
basically what they
on-orbit
do.
maneuver,
They
the
will have
approximately
some
7.5-minute
sleep
long VLO burn
before
that
they
occurred at 2:11 p.m.
go
Pacific, 5:11 p.m.
for the
Eastern
re-entry, of
Time.
course.
And that
That's how they
sent
do.
Dragon on
Because
its path
you need to
up.
remember,
The
crew awareness
spacecraft
is very
re-entered the
important.
Earth's
If
atmosphere
anything
and
happens,
slowed its
well,
descent with successful
you know why.
deployments of
I
2
mean,
drogue
it's similar
parachutes and
to the
4 main parachutes,
to the idea
with
of
the final
how
splashdown
pilots
occurring off the
and
coast
its
of
crew actually
Tallahassee,
works, right?
Florida at 2:57
Inside
p.m.
inside
Pacific,
those
5:57
aircraft.
p.m.
If
Eastern.
they don't have enough
Following
crew
that successful
awareness, it will
splashdown, we saw
to be
SpaceX
stuck.
recovery
No matter
experts move in
how
and prepare
autonomous they
Dragon
computer,
Freedom
right?
for its
Because we
lift
don't know.
onto the
You
recovery
cannot
vessel.
100% just trust
And
them
just a little
and
less
just
than
think
an
it's
hour
going to
following
100%,
splashdown,
right?
we saw Nick, Suni,
There
Butch,
must
and
be something
Alexander make their way out of
can go
Dragon
wrong.
and
So
into the recovery ship's medical
that's why
facilities, safe
crew
and
awareness
sound.
is still there.
Next up,
That's
they'll
why,
catch a helicopter
yeah.
flight back to shore, where they'll transfer to aircraft that will take them home. The astronauts will take a NASA plane for the short flight back to Houston, where they'll be reunited with family and friends to bring an end to this mission.
So they will
It's been
be
an honor and a privilege to share their
riding
journey with all of you
up to
as
the
we continue
helicopter,
this new
going
era
back
of human
to the
spaceflight.
Houston, and they would meet
Return today marks the
their
end of
their
the
family,
direct
friends,
handover we
and whatsoever.
executed
You know,
after successfully
yeah,
launching the
looks like
Crew
it.
10 mission to the space station just last week on Friday, March 14th. Thank you, as always, for joining us for tonight's coverage of the splashdown
Yeah.
of Crew-9.
Okay,
Remember to
so
follow
looks like
SpaceX
it.
on X and
And
NASA
also,
online
yeah,
and on social media for updates for the very latest on crew and cargo flights to and from the International Space Station.
And we'll continue to share the progress of Nick, Suni, Butch, and Alexander on social media as they travel back home. We do also have a post-splashdown media briefing coming up at approximately 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, where leadership will share a final update as we conclude this successful mission. So, from all of us at NASA and SpaceX, welcome home, Crew-9. So long.
oh, so we are going to have post media, huh? We're going to have some post media. Okay, I guess that's it. Uh, so I guess let me open. Okay, so I guess that's it, guys. There there will be some post splashdown media, uh, yeah, media and what's on, but I don't think we can just go extend and uh, just continuously doing like that. So I think maybe it's logical for me to just end this day and to end this stream and call this a day. Okay, I think it's fair. I do need some sleep again, so I can prepare for another day. You know, so unfortunately because the time is pretty tight, I'm not going. I don't think I can go stream. I don't really think I can go stream for this post splashdown media review, right? I don't think I can do that anymore. So so that's it. I think maybe we can go and review NASA website first before we depart. Let's see. Maybe there's some information that I need to know. See. Okay, where is the media review? We are going to show, and this is the article. Yeah, if you want to read. Okay. 7:30, around 7:15 or 7:30 p.m. But yeah, but I don't think I need to go more about this, right? I think I will rather just go have some sleep and call it a day, I guess. To go more about this, right? I think so that's it, guys. It's we are concluding our stream. not so much to talk about. It's going to be a little bit about the post splashdown and whatnot, but that's it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Daniel Suguwa signing out, and we are going to look forward for tomorrow. Yeah, we are going to look forward for tomorrow for the, if I remember, the crew, the Cygnus cargo undocking, and then it will just re-enter back to Earth by tomorrow around, at least in my time, it's more than 24 hours. It should be around 20, let me see, 28, 29, 30 hours from now, approximately. So, see you guys there, where I'm going to stream by tomorrow, if that's going to happen. But if it doesn't, well, who cares? So, but it also depending on the situation. Let's say, for example, if that also falls around, let's just say if it falls around the time before if the mission concluded before the Friday sunset, maybe I'll try to stream, but otherwise it's going to be a rest day for me. Rest day until sunset Saturday, just going some church, but just going to church anyways. But yeah, that's it guys. We are going to see you next time. So this is me, Daniel Suguwa, signing out, and take care. Bye bye. And yeah, who have finished, and I think I can end this stream. It's not going to be that long, so let's do some countdown, I guess. Let's go with 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's it, guys. We are finished. Goodbye, and thank